Ole Shamian for winning the 19th edition of the High Roller Super Millions. He walks away with $317,000. And congrats to the man who came in second at this final table. And he will finish in second place as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the High Roller Super Millions. Today is the 27th of October in the beautiful year 2020. Even though it's been rough for some of us, but it hasn't been rough for the High Roller Super Millions because today is generally the most excited I've been for any of our final tables. I'm Kevin McCoy, also known as Rotterdam, and with me, as always, is Nano Noko. Nano, we could talk about a lot of things, but we can also just talk immediately about the absolutely amazing lineup we have today.
Yeah, but I got a haircut today, so should we talk about that now?
Yeah, we should actually. I mean, I already addressed that in the pre-show. Well, the pre-show, the show that people can't watch. But beautiful haircut, Nano. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. But yeah, like you said, I am super excited about this final table. You know, we always say like next week's is going to be a good one in a different way, but like this one for sure is going to be sweet. I'm super excited. We got some of our favorite players, especially in this tournament, and you know, new players as usual. And I don't know, man, this one's going to be a hell of a tournament today.
We've got so many reasons to be excited about the lineup tonight. But of course, if you guys are not familiar with this part of the show, obviously we spent 30 minutes getting ready for the actual show. The final table will kick off 30 minutes past 7 right now, Central European Summertime. This is, of course, a 10K buy-in event. Most of the tournament gets played on the Sunday evening. We had 154 signups this week, and then we play all the way down to the final 9, and then the final 9 will play live for us tonight. We spent 25 minutes just chitty-chatting a little bit, going over some of the hands that the players had. But today, we truly have a star-studded lineup. And, you know, normally I'm like, okay, we can talk about the players, but we can also share some other stories. Let's just go ahead and take a look at this lineup, Nano, because I can't wait to talk about pretty much everyone. The stories tonight are insane. It really doesn't get much better than this.
Let's go. Let's go.
All right, let's take a look at our chip leader of the 20th edition of the High Roller Super Millions. And guess who's back? Back again. Tell literally all your friends, because our 3-time champ comes in as the chip leader tonight, Michael Adamo, obviously the winner of the 3rd, the 6th, and the 10th edition of the High Roller Super Millions. And he didn't just win. He absolutely crushed them. He dominated them. He looked fantastic in doing so. And it's so good to see him make another final table.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about when. We haven't seen Michael Adamo in a little while, right? And now here he is. He won 3 of the first 10 editions of this tournament, which is insane already. We're on the 20th edition. 10 more editions later, he's now as a chip leader going into the final table. We know he's the most aggressive player we've seen on the Super Millions. We know he's got a big track record. He's possibly the best tournament player in the world right now, you know, definitely up there in the top 5 for 100%. Could be the best, you know, it's obviously debatable and that kind of stuff, but he's going to crush it today, man. Yeah, and I'm so excited to see him here today. You know I am, and he's just always bluffing you, always putting you to the test, and, you know, sometimes he's got it, sometimes he doesn't, but he's scary to play with, doesn't miss a beat.
You know, it's a bit surprising, perhaps, that he's not the biggest winner of the High Roller Super Millions, but that is, of course, Conrad Reinen, because he won that monster WSOP online event that was part of the High Roller Super Millions. But if we take that tournament out of the occasion, obviously, Michael Adamo is by far and away the biggest winner we've had on this brand new tournament series. That's, of course, played over at GGPoker. And I mean, I think we've pretty much said it all. We're so happy to have him back. It's going to be a lot of fun. And he doesn't come in as like a medium stack or a short stack. No, he comes in as the chip leader, which is guaranteed fireworks for all of us. If you love poker, you got to be happy to see this. Let's take a look at one of the hands that Michael Adamo had on his journey to his 4th final table. And it's quite a hand already, I would say. A traditional Michael Adamo hand.
Yeah, traditional. I'm just like, how is he bluffing you, right? Like, a lot of guys don't take these kind of bluffs. It's just very heroic. He is against Ole Shamian, right? The guy who won our Super Millions the other day. Mm-hmm. So in this pot, you know, it's a pretty standard C bet with, you know, mid-paired ace kicker. And then Ole Shemian leads the turn on the 4. He calls a small bet, and his opponent leads again, a medium-sized bet, and he decided to go for like a very small raise, trying to represent that straight, and he got it done. It's just, it does seem like he unlikely had the best hand, on the river. It's possible, but it doesn't. The point is, this is a bluff, and because when it's a 4 straight, even if your opponent has like a hand like King Queen, King Jack, like you gotta be thinking how often is someone actually bluffing you here. But man, sometimes you gotta look at who you're up against. If it's Michael Adamo, sometimes you just gotta close your eyes and just click call.
Well, Ole Shemion is a tough one to bluff, but Michael Adamo apparently makes no difference between who he's bluffing, whether you sell like your way into the event or your name is Ole Shemion. Look at this table, by the way. Like, you often talk about like railing the nosebleeds games that happen over at GGPoker. It would have been really fun to just casually open the High Roller Super Millions on a Sunday evening and take a look at this table. Like Felipe Ramos, Idris as well, who was leading the Bounty Hunter series the other day, Stevie Chitwick, Ole Shemion, Michael Adamo, VBV. I mean, this just kind of goes to show how difficult it is to make final tables at the High Roller Super Millions as well. Because if this is your table, where are the easy chips, Nano? I don't see any easy chips here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually want to remind you, Michael Adamo, this is his, 4th final table? So that, and the 3 other times he's made it so far, he's won the tournament. So he hasn't gone to this final table and got like 7th, 8th, or 9th. He came in as, I think, 9th place one time, like 10 BBs or less, and he actually shifted. So again, it's going to be super impressive. I know I've hyped this guy up a lot, and I hyped him up the very first time you watched him, and man, you were impressed, I'm pretty sure.
Of course.
He's chip leader today. I'm super excited.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We all live in Michael Adamo's world, and it's a joy to be part of it. We're just on the sidelines, and you're watching him do his thing at these final tables. Now, obviously, it's going to be hard for him, even for Michael Adamo with his perfect record, because the rest of this final table is pretty insane as well. As we can take a look at our next player that has made it to the 20th edition of the High Roller Super Millions final table, and guess who's back as well? It is good old Artur, the only guy that I ever picked to win the entire tournament and actually delivered by winning the entire tournament. And if I think back of the way that Artur played back then, Nano, I loved it. It's very similar to Michael Adamo in a way, I'd say.
Yeah, Artur is one of the best out there online tournament player. Obviously dabbled in some live, you can see the scene, but mainly because, he won so much online. He's like, where else can I win a bunch of money? He plays 25K tournaments regularly. He won 6 of them when that was happening very often. This is his 2nd final table, but he's got 100% win rate as well. Although, no, it's not 3 times, but 1 time is pretty good. He's very aggressive, like you said. He's very good. He's the guy. I don't remember who else played that tournament that I picked that didn't win it, but when you pick Artur, you're like, I'm gonna pick the Russian guy, and you were right, man. I didn't realize how good Artur really was, and if there's someone that's gonna fight Michael Adamo, this is one of the guys to do it. These guys, they win a bunch of tournaments, but they don't take anything from anyone, right? Like, they're like, oh, I respect you, so I'm going to let you do your No, they're like, I'm going to fight for it. One of us is going out, and then we're going to destroy the rest of the table.
When Artur made it to his first final table and actually ended up winning the entire thing, some of the other players at that final table were Chris Fitzgerald, Ben CB, David Misikowski as well, Rune F. Perhaps you picked Rune F back then. Or you probably picked Chris Fitzgerald. I know you love him.
yeah, of course.
Christopher Brewer back then was at the final table as well. Anyways, I am super happy to see Artur back, and especially because he's at the same table as Michael Adamo, and they come in as chip leader and 2nd in chips. Let's take a look at one of the hands that Artur had on his journey to his 2nd final table. And is this a semi-bluff, or is this just an absolute crazy play, Nana?
It is a crazy semi-bluff play. You love to see these, right? Big raises. I like to see him. He's up against Adrian Mateos, which is obviously a very good player who's played these Super Millions before. He check calls a flop with the backdoor, all the backdoor draws you love to talk about, right? And that's what you do, because sometimes you turn those backdoor draws and you still got a good draw. It's a draw to the straight flush, right? And his opponent bets really small. He goes for the check raise all in. I love the play. Some guys, right, like they'll bet this flop, with some air and also some value bets, like maybe like a king 10, pocket 8s, pocket 9s. And then they bet small again on turn because they're like, oh, I don't want to give that free flush card an out. I'll just bet small and then check back the river. But the thing is, Artur has one-upped them. He's put them to the test because a lot of guys don't really check raise all-in bluff like this. And I'm pretty sure he got Adrian Mateos to fold the best hand here. And this is a very strong power poker play. And, you know, this is why your guy wins tournaments sometimes too, right? Like, he just puts them to the test.
Well, I love it. And like I said already twice, I'm super happy to see Artur at another final table. Comes in with 71 big blinds, so he's got a lot of chips to work with as well. This is going to be good. Now let's take a look at our next player, the man who comes in third at this final table. And guess who's back? It's Mr. Gamble from last week. Obviously, back-to-back final tables for this man. Last week, he was the runner-up, and he was so damn close to potentially winning the entire thing. If only he would have called that hand with King 7 and a no-call, then Mr. Gamble probably would have gone for back-to-back victories tonight.
Well, Mr. Gamble is back. He was the guy who satellited in, right? Had no... You see his GGPoker wins, 292K. His last cash was 240. He only had like 50K in cashes before. And he's back. Man, he obviously spent some of these winnings from last time to enter this tournament, and this is pretty impressive for a guy who satellite in. I remember he had a big stack coming into the final table last week, and then he lost a lot of chips, and it was kind of like, okay, I'm gonna chip. Yeah, I'm gonna wait for people to bust, right? And then he came back, and good luck to him, man. This is cool.
Yeah, he had one hell of a run last week. He's like, you know what? I'm going to mess with the big boys. I'm going to raise 8-6 suited under the gun. I'm going to c-bet. It's like, oh my God, I lost 60% of my stack this hand. Let's slow down. And then eventually he ran it up again. It was a lot of fun watching Mr. Gamble play last week. You know, every single time that I play poker after one of these shows, Roddy, the people come in my chat and they're like, so Roddy, you're going to be like Mr. Gamble or Ole Shemyon? I was like, well, neither, okay? Because both those guys are way better than me, but we'll try to find a fine balance in between. Anyways, let's take a look at one of the hands that Mr. Gamble had on his journey to his back-to-back final table appearances. Very impressive stuff. I don't think this is a hand we can truly make a lot of, even though, I mean, it is a cool play on the flop.
I think it's a cool play on the flop. I think a lot of guys don't do this. A lot of people just kind of play that cautious, just call it a flop, see what happens on the turn. But, sixes is very vulnerable, right? Like, if your opponent plays very straightforward against you, I think raising is pretty good because you deny your opponent to equity. What's a good turn card besides a 6 and like maybe a 3 or 4? It's like, everything's pretty bad if they bet again into you. You don't know what, you're just playing a guessing game. By raising, you kind of see where you're at, but if you can take it down, that's ideal. And as long as your opponent doesn't play back at you, it's a pretty cool move to do.
Yeah, I actually kind of like it because you look at this board, it's like, well, obviously if he has a king, he's in trouble, but he's not folding anyway. Why won't I raise just to see where I'm truly at in this hand? And yeah, if you just take it down on the flop, it's obviously beautiful because like you said, there aren't many cards you're going to be very happy about on the turn. Other than, I guess, a 3 or a 4 or a 6, that's not a club. Because even if it's a club, then you got to start worrying about that as well. Anyways, well done. And I look forward to watching Mr. Gamble in action tonight because he was pretty fun to watch last week. Let's take a look at our next player, the man who comes in fourth in chips. Mr. Gamble, by the way, with 70 big blinds. Next up is Nicholas Alstead. He comes in with 43 big blinds. And this is already his third final table. I'm going to be honest with you. Oh, yeah, Lena 900. I don't remember that much of his previous appearances, though, Nana.
Well, Lena 900, he's known as to be as one of the best internet players. He's kind of like the European, those kind of guys, right? Like, they've all gotten to kind of like our final tables, but they haven't. The way they play is like really solid. They cruise their way to the final table, but they're not like some crazy bluffers. They're of course capable of doing it, but they're just very strong, consistent, solid players. He did get an 8th and a 4th, so he hasn't got no wins in there yet because maybe he's not reckless like some of the other guys that happen to win or lose it, right? But Lena 900, he's one of the best. I'm very excited to see him at this final table. He's going to give these guys a run for the money. But given that he's in 4th place right now, given that he's up against 2 super aggressive players who are in the top 2, I don't expect him to get too out of line right now and kind of let them do their thing and, because I guess maybe the correct way to play these final tables is let those guys bust out everyone and, you know, look for your spots to kind of maintain your stack and credit cruise to the top 3 and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, now that I look at the bottom right, it all makes sense to me again. The first time he was playing under the account Speedy Double, and we obviously didn't really know who he was. Had a pretty good performance on the 2nd of August. But then on the 11th of October, when we were really hyped, it's like, oh, that's Alina 900. Back then, it didn't really work out for Nicholas, and he finished in 8th place, obviously. Not really what the dreams are made of, but it's awesome to have him back, and it's really cool to see these crushers just make final tables over and over again. Let's take a look at one of the hands that Alina 900 or Niklas had on his journey to his 3rd final table. And we have a good old ace-9 as he's battling it out with Michael Adamo. So this was pretty deep into the tournament already.
Yep, it looks like in this spot, you know, he called the flop bet, and the river he went for a value bet with just mid-pair. The thing is, when you're up against Michael Adamo, he can be a little sticky in some spots because he knows he's so aggressive. He needs to make more call downs because he's got such a wider hand range than most players. So you need to go for some value bets with these middle pairs. You know, some people, if you're more of a beginner, maybe like, oh, I'm only going to value bet top pair or better, right? If I got mid pair, I'll just keep checking. But you definitely need to go for value bets with mid pair. And you know, you can see Lena 900. He knows like he needs to value bet this hand against Michael Adamo.
That was so much though, like 146k. That's a
Yeah,
lot of value for a 9.
It is a lot of value, but you know, Michael Adamo, if he's got like even like a hand like an ace or pocket 8s or pocket 7s, he'll probably look you up, because the truth is, if you look at this board, there's a lot of misdraws. 10 jack, jack king, 2 diamonds, 10-8. Like there's just so many hands that oftentimes a pair will just have to look you up.
All right. Let's take a look at our 5th player at the 20th edition of the High Rollers Super Millions. And it is a brand new face, but someone who's obviously incredibly active over at GGPoker. Mark Radoja, how much can you tell us about Mark, Nana?
Mark, he's very, very strong player. He's played internet poker as well, but he loves the World Series of Poker. He's got 2 bracelets. He got a 2nd place in different bracelets, almost 3 bracelets. And obviously those are some big scores. He's played a lot of Super Millions, 14 of them, but he hasn't gotten to our final table yet. So he keeps getting like a little cash here and there. He's finally here. He's a strong player. Coming in with 30 big blinds, it's got some room to work with. But then again, like it's just thing. These guys are very good, but I feel like the first 2 guys are overshadowing some of these other players right now. But I think Mark can definitely get something done. And hey, I'll tell you this: if he gets the heads up, he can easily win it because he's got some heads up experience, right? He's won the heads up tournament.
You know, what's cool as well is that his best performance before today was actually last week. So perhaps he made a small adjustment to the way that he's approaching these high roller super millions, because last week he apparently was very close to making it to the final table. Finished in 11th place back then. It's really cool to see him make it to one of these. Let's take a look at one of the hands that Mark had on his journey to his final table. And this one is pretty straightforward, I'd say. Makes obviously a good call on the flop, but I mean, he's just having a super strong hand. What do you make of this hand?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's too straightforward, because if you look at this hand, okay, he check calls the flop with he actually limped. This is a small blind versus a big blind. So he actually tries a trap with ace queen against Zhao, and then he goes for the check call with the top pair top kicker. That's actually quite tricky on check on a turn. Actually, on the river, I'm not sure if it's a value bet or a bluff, to be honest. It's because usually if it's a raise pot, I will consider this a bluff, but it's a limp pot, and limp pots people tend to call a lot looser. I kind of think it's a value bet, although he will get looked up by, of course, better. It's quite interesting hand, because the truth is, I think if Zhao had like a jack 10 or like a king, he probably would have bet the turn. So I think Mark actually thinks he's got the best hand, and because the board is so scary in the limp pot, he thinks he might get looked up a little bit more. And this is this is really thin though, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I guess because he limped pre-flop, this hand just became very weird, right? Because if he raises, then this hand probably plays out in a very different manner. Then he will lead out on the flop, and basically it's a completely different story. You think he was just trapping pre-flop, right? Like trying to limp small blind against big blind?
Yeah. Everyone's always trying to trap Javiera, you know? Like, it's definitely a trap. This is a limp re-raise, get it in hand.
Yeah, this was pretty deep in the tournament as well because they both had over 1 million chips, and we know that it's hard to get your hands on 1 million chips. I mean, the table wasn't even full. I guess that really shows how close we were to the final 9. Well, it's awesome to have Mark with us for the first time, and I look forward to how he will perform tonight. He comes in with 29 big blinds, so he's got some chips to work with, but not not as many as some of the other guys at top. Let's take a look at the next man. Well, we already spoke a little bit about him because he was on the left and he was involved in the hand we just took a look at. It is Javiera. He is back as well. He is the leader of the all-time money list when it comes to Portuguese players, and feel like we hyped him up properly last time. Nanonoko, he got a 5th place on the 30th of August, but it's cool to have him back with us.
I don't know if you remember that final table, but Mustafa Kanit was on that final table, and he was bad mannering Javiera a bunch. They were, I think it was like, called him a slow rolling, blah, blah, blah. Some bad words came out at the final table. It was very cool to see. It was funny. I don't know what Mustafa has against Jao, but Jao is very good. Portuguese player. He played very solid at that final table, but I know he's capable of many plays, very aggressive, can make some, he's a bit sticky in some spots. He's good. And like you said, this is star-studded final table today.
Well, we can take a look at one of the hands that Javiera had on his journey to his second final table at the High Roller Super Millions. And I guess this is another rather complicated hand because it's again a small blind against big blind scenario. And from that point on, I feel like things always get a little bit wild. Nano, what do you make of it?
Yeah, these two guys seem to have a lot of history in these small blind versus big blind spots, right? Like they're like value betting super thin, and you've seen this in this hand. Mark actually bets the turn, and he bets the river with like 3rd pair. So I believe that Ace Queen last hand was a value bet because you can see here he's going for some thin value of 3rd pair, but Zhao's not going to fold the 10, and these guys, they don't let anything go. If it's like 2nd, 3rd pair and they think they got the best hand, they're gonna go for some value, do some call downs, and I hope these two are seated next to each other at this final table today.
Well, they might aim for that in the beginning just with the seat selection, but obviously it's not in their hands. It's going to be in the hands of Michael Adamo in the end as he comes in as the chip leader. We've got 9 minutes until we will be watching some live poker and the cards will go up in the virtual air, but we have 3 more players to cover. So let's take a look at the man who comes in 7th tonight, who is also a familiar face. Now, you guys may not be that familiar with the name, but we hyped him up quite a bit as he won one of these High Roller Super Millions when he was just playing under the account Blackjack 19. It's good to see Blackjack back as well, Nana.
Yeah, it's Georgios. Was Blackjack the guy who won the tournament coming into the chip leader? Do you recall?
Yes, he was the first one. He made High Roller Super Millions history.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So, obviously, yeah, he's not a name that a lot of people know, but obviously it's cool to see that this guy was the first guy who finally came to the final table with the chip leader, finally shipped the tournament. This is his 2nd cash. He's only played the Super Millions 3 times. 2 final tables, 1 win. So he could be another guy of 100% win rate today. I'll tell you this, some records of winning 100% when you get to the final table is going to be broken today, that's for sure.
Yeah. At least 2 out of 3, if not all 3. You know what I find very interesting is that he won one of these High Roller Super Millions event. Then he still tried to sell 25% of his action, but for some reason he only sold 5%. Like, how do people not believe in the man who literally won 1 out of the 2 times he has played the tournament?
Yeah, I guess, some guys, he's just not a known name, right? But like, that's when there's some value to be had there. 2 stakers, they believed in him. They bought the action, and if you're watching these Super Millions, you should take note on who you like, how they play, who's trying to sell some action, maybe buy some action for those guys if they're available. I'll tell you this though, I doubt Michael Adamo is ever selling action, so don't look for him. It's never going to happen.
Also, don't forget that the 2nd time Michael Adamo won the tournament, he won it on his 5th bullet. So, you can't really buy action on somebody's 5th bullet. It's the first only on. That should be an option, actually. Like if people boss, I want to buy action on their 2nd bullet. Then I know that I'm going to look for Mr. 3rd bullet on GGPoker because he always does well with his 3rd bullet. Anyway, let's take a look at one of the hands that Georgios, formerly known as Blackjack, had on his journey to the 2nd final table. And it seems like we had a
You
good
got this one. You got this one.
All right, pre-flop all in. I see kings. Let's take a look. Who opened the action? All right, it was actually Timothy just shoving. Then Brahman is shoving. And then Georgios had a very tough decision. Do I call the double all in with kings? It turns out the answer is yes. And the kings help.
Yeah, but what do you think of the run out, the turn and the river? It's turn, set, river to king. He must have been celebrating so hard on that river card because if he did not re-suck out there, he wouldn't be at this final table today.
Yeah. I don't know if that feels better or worse. Like, do you prefer winning like this, or would you prefer your kings just to hold without really any drama?
Well, this is a lot of drama because usually on the turn, you're just thinking, I can't believe I'm out of this tournament, right? And then the river comes, you go, justice.
You're like, no, yes. That's pretty much, that's how it would go for me, at least when I'm involved in one of these scenarios. Anyway, it's really cool to have Georgios back. We've got 5 minutes until the action starts, and we have 2 more players to cover. So let's take a look at another very familiar name at this point when it comes to the high roller super millions. It is Nader. Nader with his 3rd final table already, and look when he got the previous ones as well. 27th of September, 18th of October. No, that's 3 final tables within a month. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, it is pretty sick. It's back-to-back final tables also for Nader. In the one, he got 3rd place. He came in as the chip leader. Didn't play as aggressive. Giraffe Ganger did eventually win that tournament against him. Then he came back on October 18th, got 7th place, but, came as a shallow stack. But, Nader, it's cool to see the familiar faces. These are guys, obviously, we don't know much about them. But, they keep making final tables. We're building the history with these guys, and it's cool to see him back. He's got 1.1 million in earnings. He's a high roller reg. And he's got a lot of tough players up against. He's got to go up against, but, he can maybe ladder up a little bit right now.
I feel like we have been confused about some of the plays that Nader has made on some of these final tables. And if we can just take a look at one of the hands that Nader had on his journey to his 3rd final table, this is another one where, I don't know if I love it or if I'm confused, but obviously pre-flop it's very standard, right? Someone opens, he 3-bets, he gets called. Then it goes check, check on the flop. He checks on the turn, opponent bets, and he's like, bam, massive raise. What is this, Nano?
It is a crazy play. The thing is, every time we see some Nader hand histories, right, they're like some crazy bluffs and stuff like that. And then we see him at the final table, and this guy's just trying to ladder up. So he's like, it's a changed man. But regardless, it's a crazy play, of course. It's a huge raise. In this hand, he 3-bets. He's looking to show it down, right? The Jack-8 deuce, not what you want to see. The turn, he checks again. But here's the thing. Juan Pardo Dominguez, he bets like a quarter pot on the turn, and he's just like, look, this guy, it looks like he might have like a little pocket pair, like 6s or 7s. If I make some big raise, he's not going to call me down. And that's what the Ace King did, just some muscle power play. I think he got the best hand to fold, because I think if Juan had a better hand, he wouldn't just bet so small, right? If he had something to continue with. If he had a bluff, he probably wouldn't bet so small. So I think Nader definitely pushed his opponent off the best hand.
What's actually kind of cool is that the bottom 5 players of tonight's final table, they're all actually kind of close to each other in chips. Like Mark Radoya has 1.1 million and Javiera has 1 million. Blackjack comes in with 866,000. Nader has 836,000. And the last player, the shortest stack of the tournament, comes in with 832,000, which is still 20 big blinds. So it's not that bad. We've seen plenty of people make a final table with 5, 6, 7 big blinds. Coming in with 20 big blinds, I do believe the blinds will go up again, but there is some play left for Nader. So let's hope that Nader has some of these plays ready for us tonight, because that'd be very fun to watch. Obviously, this was 8 players. We've got 1 more to cover, and every star-studded final table needs a fairy tale story, Nanonoko. And I believe that the fairy tale story tonight comes out of Russia, as our last player of the 20th edition of the High Roller Super Millions is Romashka, who played a $100 satellite. Apparently did well enough to qualify for the $1,000 satellite. Did well enough in that one as well to send himself into the main event. And now he's here. This is already his 7th appearance though. But isn't it kind of crazy how he has played 7 of these events, but then he plays $100 tournaments, or satellites rather?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that he's really good at $100 satellites. He probably satellited into those other super millions as well, right? But didn't cash. He's one of those guys, the normal people. They satellite into the tournament and they just bust, right? Like in the tournament. But Romashka's here. We need a satellite winner into every week's final table. Otherwise, it's just not the same anymore. Because those are guys that they're throwing some random moves here or there, or they're trying to ladder up. They really shake things up a bit.
Well, let's take a look at one of the hands that the Romashka had. And I think if you take a look at this hand, you're going to love it, Nanonoko, because I looked at this and I'm like, ooh, feisty for somebody who played $100 satellite to get as deep into the main event as he is, to then make a play like this. I mean, that's balls of steel, if you ask me.
It is balls of steel, right? Like, it's really hard to put Romashka on a bluff here. So if your opponent had say an ace-8 type hand, it's very, very hard to call you down. It's just thinking like, okay, what I beat? Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know too many hands he does beat. So this is why it's good to make a bluff on spots where it's hard for them to put you on a bluff, because they just put you on value. And very, very cool hand. It's just some power poker here, and I like it.
Speaking of power poker, let's just take a look at the table, because we are done with the pre-show. We like the pre-show. It's cool to see, the names and see some of the hands that these guys had on their journeys. But obviously what we are really here for is some live poker. Whole cards up. This is going to be so awesome. Nanonoko, this is normally where I ask you, who do you think is going to win? But I already know who you're going to pick, so it doesn't matter. And you already know who I'm going to pick, so it doesn't matter either. Or do you have got something special for me?
Well, today I'm going to have to pick Michael Adamo. He's coming in for 4 wins of the 4 times he's at the final table. I mean, do we just ship him the trophy now? We just let everyone else play for a second so that they have a fair fight, so they don't have to just fold every single hand to this guy, right? Like, he's got the chip lead. This is the thing. He puts the pressure on you. We've got a situation where there's a bunch of guys with 20 big blinds. You know what they're going to do, right? They're going to try to outladder each other. And that's opportunity for Michael Adamo just to win more chips as they just try to knit each other up and fold jacks pre-flop.
I can't disagree with you, but that is also an opportunity for Michael Adamo to eventually run into a bigger hand of somebody else who's trying to take advantage of all those nerds that are trying to ladder up. And obviously that is Artur. So I'm going to go with Artur, man. Back-to-back victories when I makes it to a final table. I believe it. Artur is going to get the job done today.
How can you not pick Artur? He's the only guy you pick, right? That ships
Exactly.
Super Millions. You have to pick him. He's your only chance. But these two guys, they have a lot of competition here. Yes, they're in a spot though to kind of outladder each other, so they got good opportunity, both Michael Adamo and Artur. I actually think the seat selection might be quite important right here.
Yeah.
I do think that Michael Adamo will pick position on Artur because his opponent is so aggressive. He's got all the chips, but I'm interested to see where Artur actually chooses a seat, knowing that's probably going to happen.
Yeah, this is where I think it gets very interesting, because the first guys, they don't have that much impact on where everybody ends up. But let's see what Nicholas decides to do. Nicholas will take the spot of Mark Radoya, so they're kind of spacing everyone out. Mr. Gamble is up next. Where does Mr. Gamble go? Is he switching with Nader, I think? No, with Javiera. Okay. All right, Artur, what's it going to be? Probably with Manusas.
He picked Mark. He's just like, I'm just move a little bit over, and it should be Michael Adamo taking Romashka's seat, but we'll see.
Yeah. But then Nicholas has position on Michael Adamo, though. That's actually kind of tricky, because Lena 900 is obviously very good as well.
He decides to not switch seats. That's interesting. Okay, so we don't know his strategy. He actually chose not to switch. He didn't time out, though. No. That's a difference.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand it, because normally, indeed, you want to take position on Artur, but then Nicholas Ostad has position on you, and then there is Javiera in the big blind as well. So maybe that's just not a spot where he wanted to be. Anyway, shuffle up and deal. This is going to be one hell of a final table. We are all super excited. A true star-studded lineup. Artur is opening things up, raising ace-10 offsuit under the gun, and Nicholas just calling with the jacks.
Yeah, two jack. You could, that's what I was saying. Players like Nicholas Estet, Lena 900, European. These guys are super solid. So
Mhm.
if it's in a spot where they should kind of stay in the tournament a little bit, but still get involved. They don't like to kind of just get it in recklessly. 40 big blinds against undergun. Maybe you kind of say if you ever get this in pre-flop, you're usually flipping at best.
Flop is 997. Nader even made this a call from the small blind, and then Mark is like, "Well, at this point, I'm priced in as well, so I'll tag along for the ride." But I don't really see a world where Nicholas doesn't just take this hand down. Like Nader shouldn't be calling here, right? That's just too much.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think Nator, yeah, he probably shouldn't be calling. It might be tricky though, because you're thinking, man, I flopped a reasonable hand. He does make the call. Thing is, 7-8. If your opponent's betting here, I'm just trying to think, what does he beat? I mean, Jack 10? Because the truth is, Nicholas Estet wouldn't be calling with hands like 8-6 suited pre-flop. He would just be
No.
folding those. So was he beat like 2 6s? Does 2 6s bet? I'm not too sure. So
Okay. Nader, this is your moment. We always see crazy hand histories of you on your journey to the final table. This is where you just ship it in and represent the nine. Yeah, oh my
he
God, he does.
but I don't think Nicholas can fold here. And yeah, well, Nator is just he just burnt a lot of chips there. He's got 3 big blinds.
Yeah, no, he burned everything. He may as well just could have just gone all in. Oh, I mean, I like the play. It just didn't work out this time. I wonder if he really thought properly about what Nicholas could have been playing there. Because, like you say, Nicholas is calling pre-flop from a relatively early position. So, what kind of hands is he doing that with?
I think that's a bit of a mistake from Nator. I think Nator just didn't think it through too much. But Mr. Gamble is opening King 9 offsuit. Man, he's feeling hot from that second place round. And Michael Adamo's got 8-7 suited. We know he's not going to fold. He's probably going to re-raise. This is the Michael Adamo I love to watch. You can see it coming, don't you?
Yes. Michael was like, hey, we're 2 hands into this final table and you guys are still opening up. Don't you guys forget that I'm the 3-time champ? So Micro Demo does put in the 3-bet and he takes it down pre-flop and he will secure his lead. Just extend it a little bit more. I do like that before the first hand, we didn't really have a super short stack. Like even the short stacks had like 20 big blinds to play with. Unfortunately, right now Nader has 2.5 big blinds to play with, but that's kind of on himself.
Yeah, but this true. This is one of those final tables that felt like that 10 big blind short stack hanging in there. Very a lot of room to play, and the big stacks have a lot of chips too. At this point, I think all the other guys should be folding until Nator gets it in. That's
Yeah.
why you actually see Mark limping the Queen Jack on the button. He's trying to still get involved, but he doesn't want to raise and just get jammed on by Artur. So this kind of helps him like see some flops a bit more, and it's a dicey flop for these guys.
Yeah, it's kind of an action flop, right? They all get a little bit of it. Arthur has a gut shot, Mark flop stop pair, and Romashka has the shortest stack, well, coming into the night's final table, flops a flush draw. Doesn't really want to put in any chips. If you're Mark here, you got to be betting, right? 80K, 85, 90?
I think, yeah, I'll throw in a bet here. I think he should just protect. It looks like he's going to go for the check, but he's definitely going to put in some chips on the turn. I guess. I mean, I don't mind the check. The more I think about it a little bit, just in case, say he bets, someone goes crazy with a flush draw. He doesn't really want to get it in when Nator only has 100K. So actually, I do like the check on the flop. The more I think about it, but if Nator had like 20 big ones, I definitely would be betting this flop.
Well, Romashka doesn't cover him, though, so it's technically only Arthur that he truly had to worry about.
And you got to be worried when Archer's in there. And you can see Archer really wants to bet. He's trying to think what hands Mark Rodoa has on to limp the button, and he is going to go for a bet. I think he thinks that Mark will fold some ace high type hands right now.
Look at Romashka just immediately folding his 7-6 of diamonds. He wants none of that.
Yeah, you settle in for $100, and then you make some crazy plays to get to the final table. That's when you calm down a little bit.
Okay, I'm a bit worried here for Arthur because I really don't think that Mark is folding. All right, Arthur is going to slow down and he will just check. And I think that Mark should be aware that his jack is most likely good here. But
Yeah, I think he does think he's got the best hand. He's thinking, okay, can I get called by worse? Definitely possible Jack 9, and he is going for a value bet. I like
I
it.
like the bet. I like the bet a lot. I think it makes sense.
Yeah,
It's
you
a
want to go
bit scary because if Artur races you now, then you've got one hell of a decision to make. But I think that Mark just is feels pretty confident that he's got the best hand here.
Yeah,
Going
it's
to make the call.
that's why he goes for that small bet. He's just like, okay, please call me, please call me. He's trying to make it look like he's got like like a flush draw, and he gets looked up, and
Wow.
your guy is going down. You cursed him already, right?
Arthur even gives him the nice play emoji. Well done by Mark. Obviously, kind of a tricky hand to play when Nader is as short as he is. Speaking of Nader, he's definitely going to get it all in this hand. And he may actually win it, though. Nader might stick around a little bit longer. Looking around, he's got the best hand.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like anyone's going to open but Nator. So let's see if he can hold against the 6-9 offsuit.
What about Romashka? Do you think Romashka might? No? All right. Ace 8 offsuit against 6-9 offsuit. Lena and 100 is like, well, we may. Oh my goodness, what a flop.
Some
Well,
guys
that's
just
gonna.
run so good, man. They just run so good.
That's gonna be it for Nader. Unfortunately, his third final table did not last very long. Tried to make a cool move earlier on, but maybe that just wasn't the right time for it. That was the first hand of the tournament as well, right? Ah,
It
and
was
he
the
lost
first
the
hand,
chips.
yeah. It was the very first hand. Because Nator has somewhere to be, and it's not this tournament.
I feel like he could have just folded on the flop, and the flop was 997. I know there was a spade on the board as well, and I think if there is no spade there, I actually think he folds immediately. But because of the spade, the backdoor, he's like, oh, flop bottom pair, let's stick around. And then it ended up him costing him all of his chips.
Yeah, Michael Adamo opening 9-5 suited in early position, gets Jow to fold the queen 9 offsuit. Yeah, I think Michael Adamo is going to be a little bit aggressive.
Seems like
Oh,
Lena
this is
900 has a monthly subscription on Pocket Jacks at the moment.
he's actually in second place right now. If you look at this, Romashka actually flats ace 8 suited. I don't know if I love it too much. It's very tricky hand to play again with this stack size. But this should get Nicholas to bump it up. And I wonder what Mark's going to do with the ace queen, because it's a good hand. It's 35 big blinds roughly, right, to play. But the problem is there's a bunch of guys who are short, and I feel like he's going to call and see a flop, but I'm not sure.
No, but this is horrible because if you call, then there is a chance that Romashka shoves, though, right? Because Romashka already calls and has a very short stack. Okay, Mark will make the call. I gotta say that's a risky call. I feel like, because what do you do if Romashka shoves then, and then Nicholas shoves?
Well, I don't think Romashka would shove unless he was trapping like a huge hand like aces or kings. Yeah, I don't. Maybe he knows he's settling for 100 bucks. Like, okay, this guy's got some random hands, so maybe I don't got to worry
Okay.
about that. But I do feel like he's obligated to defend ace queen because it's pretty much the top of his range that would call a 3-bet, because ace king plus they would just jam it in. So if you start folding this hand, you're kind of folding everything. And Lena 900 will 3-bet bluff this spot, especially with this kind of a stack size. So just seemed like ace queen had to call. But now the flop is tough, right? Because you're like, man, this is like the best non-nutted, non-pair hand I could have here. You're giving me a good price, but are you bluffing here?
Well, may think back of the previous hand that Nicholas was playing, where the board was 997, and Nicholas was betting in a similar way. Back then, Nicholas had jacks. This time, Nicholas had jacks, and Mark will make the correct fold with ace queen. So you don't really take into consideration that there is a short stack who called there, a two big blind, raise from a relatively early position, right? Like I feel like Romashka was middle position there. I'd be really worried calling if I was Mark pre-flop.
No, yeah, I wouldn't be too worried. I guess like most guys don't really flat there unless they willing to get, if like they don't flat there with like aces and kings that much. I don't know. It's just I wouldn't be too worried, because I don't think that guy could really get it in if there's like a re-raise and then another call. He'd have to like just be YOLO getting it in with like 2 9s or something.
I see. I see. Well, on to the next one as Michael Adamo is involved. I think Michael Adamo just casually opened King 9 offsuit under the gun. I believe he
She
did, right?
did it.
All right. And he takes it down as he flops a king.
I mean, okay, well, so we've got a little change in chip stack, though, in the sense that Lena 900 has moved into second place. I told you he's really solid. I wonder if his play changes, but for now, we've seen really solid play. And I wonder if Mr. Gamble realizes who he's up against, because Michael Adamo, I wonder if he defends the 3-deuce offsuit. I'm not too sure.
This is the battle that I never knew I needed in my life, but now that I see it, I want more of it. Mr. Gamble versus Michael Adamo. Button versus Big Blind. Let's get it on. And he takes
Okay,
it down.
he lets it go. It's gotta be so scary raising to Michael Adamo's big blind with that kind of a stack size. It's like, man, just fold, man, just fold.
And I mean, even a hand like A6, which is obviously quite mediocre, right? It's like, well, see if Georgios decides to get a little fancy here with his Ace-8 offsuit. I think you could maybe go all in here, right?
Yeah, I think he's thinking about just shipping it in. He's gonna go for a raise. Of course, it's always scary, right? When you're shoving like 19 big blinds, like, oh man, am I risking a little bit too much? But I like the play. I think you gotta open though.
Well, this is actually a pretty fun flop as Mark flops an open-ended straight draw and he has the backdoor king high flush draw. Obviously, Georgios does have the ace of hearts, but I think if he bets, Mark is not going anywhere.
Yeah, his opponent wouldn't go anywhere, but he should be betting. Whenever it comes Queen Jack, then you almost mandatory have to bet because you're the only one that can have the Ace King because everyone would re-raise Ace King pre-flop. So you can actually multi-barrel the Ace 8 a lot. Just hit the king.
Yeah. A pretty perfect turn card for Georgios, and I think Mark knows that all of a sudden his hand is not that good anymore. Doesn't happen often that you make top pair and you're very unhappy about it, but I think this was one of the scenarios.
Yeah. Well, of course, the straight's got to just keep betting. Don't let your opponent who might have 2 pair or flush draw get some free chance to beat you, and he is going to go for a 3rd pot bet. I like it. I think it's played very well so far.
I'd like to see Mark just fold this because Georgios is not raising like too many super random hands from the bottom when Michael Adamo is in the small blind as well. And he's obviously not that big. He only had 18, 19 bigs to start the hand. I think it's just too likely he has an ace here.
I agree with you. And yeah, I think they both played it pretty well though.
Yep. Some hands play themselves, and I think both of them did all right. Man, Nicholas is running hot so far. He's getting nothing but monsters, and Romashka, the shortest stack at the table, is opening up ace-9 suited under the gun. And, well, it's music to the ears of Nicholas.
Yeah, and Romashka is like, you know what, I'm going to raise it a little bit bigger now. Just I want to make sure you guys fold and make it look as strong as possible. But it shouldn't work. Nicholas is going to 3-bet the ace-queen suited, try to get it in, try to take it down pre-flop.
Don't do anything weird, Artur. Not yet. They will give it to you eventually.
Wow, the ace-9 suited snap calls the 3-bet with this stack size. I don't know what to make of that, but I think he just dusted off some chips. What is Nader and Romashka doing? They're just throwing away some chips right now.
I don't know, Nana. Romashka will make the fold after he realized that this was not the flop he was looking for. Michael Adamo is showing all of us that he had a king. Thank you, Michael. We appreciate it.
We got a new chip leader too, actually. Nicholas did slowly outtake Michael Adamo, but this is pretty much from winning chips from Nader and Romashka.
Georgios this time is the one opening up with ace queen suited, and I actually think that Romashka is going to go all in. If you have got 5 big blinds, that's I guess a decent flop for king 10. I mean, this got to be it for Romashka, right? You got to go for it.
Yeah, I would have just open jam the flop, do a stop and go, because you can get some like ace 3, ace 3 to fold. So pocket 5s, pocket 6s, pocket 7s, they probably will fold. I think that was. I know his opponent's never going to fold ace queen, but he definitely should have just open jammed his flop. And I don't know. He's just trying to play some. He's trying to play some multi-street poker right now. Now he's got to fold. I guess it's too.
No.
I don't know what's going on.
Oh, come on. I would have actually just liked to see him call, even if he is behind, but he most likely has outs. There's so much in the middle. Now he's down to 3 big blinds.
Yeah, you get the 5-4 suited, right? That's playable, and
Yeah, he's gonna limp. He's like, want to play some post flop, Nicholas?
yeah. So Adamo opens Jack 9 suited. Does Artur want to get a little dicey? He's got 60 big blinds. Has been on a little bit of downswing so far at this final table. He's out. Romashka's in. I told you, the 5-4 suited coming along.
Okay. I feel like we are witnessing a man killing himself.
See some flops. Maybe you hit a backdoor straight flush. But Michael Adamo's got an open and a straight draw, but a kind of a dicey board. He's going to put a small bet out there.
If I was Nicholas, I wouldn't go anywhere. He's been running pretty hot. It is unlikely that Michael Adamo is chasing the same thing as you. The
Nice.
ace of spades on the turn. Nicholas running like a man on fire at this point.
Yeah, that's a very nice card because that's also a good card for Michael Adamo to just keep bluffing. Like he can get Michael Adamo might lose a bunch of chips in this hand, depending on what rolls off. Because if he fires a turn, he might just fire the river card because Nicholas is going to have a lot of hands. They're going to check call this turn and just check fold the river, like a queen jack, a jack 10 of one spade, a king. There's a lot of hands that actually will call this turn and go for a check fold the river. Nicholas is set. Lena 900. Okay, that's the card that saves Michael Adamo. I bet you he would have lost another like 500 to 800K.
Yep. Yeah, imagine if that would have been a king or an 8 of clubs or hearts. Like, that would have been disastrous. It will go check on the river. I think Nicholas was probably a little unhappy to see that card as well. He's like, oh my God, don't tell me you've got a 1 spade higher than my flush. But that wasn't the case. Michael Adamo lets it go. I almost wonder what would have happened if Michael Adamo would have made like a proper bet, like 1.5 million there on the river, making it seem like you're betting the nuts. That'd be sick.
Yeah, it's possible. But then again, like I said, a lot of those hands Nicholas would call to turn with actually would contain the nut flush on that river card, like the king queen offsuit and the king 10. So it'd be a very, very dangerous bet. But Lena 900, he's a chip leader. I would still be excited for this final table if these were the stack sizes coming into this final table, right? Like Michael Adamo in second, Artur in third, Nicholas on top. So this is still a very nice situation. Zhao's got ace 3 suited. I think he's got a fold because we got Romashka here just playing every single pot with 3 big blinds,
Well, 3, 1.5 at this point, Nanonoko. You just made his stack seem twice as big as it actually is. No, I'm with you. If I was Javiera, I'd probably get out of the way here. Shoving would be one hell of a play. He's not shoving, but he is.
Play.
Yeah, I mean, he's 3-betting in such a big way that it pretty much becomes a shove. Well done by Javiera.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys will fold that thing, but Zhao's very aggressive, and he's thinking, look, maybe this small pay jump is not worth me passing up a big spot. And these 2 9s, I don't think he's going to pass this up. I think he should actually, if he's going to jam the ace 3 suited, he should definitely be jamming these 2 9s. I know it's like 24 big blinds, but you're against Michael Adamo, who's opening 9-5 suited, king 9 offsuits in early position. But he just calls, which is a little bit interesting that he chose to jam the last spot, but not this one. Because I feel like even though Michael Adamo's under the gun, he's still recklessly aggressive.
Well, let's see what happens post-flop, but I'm with you. I honestly don't think that would have been a bad play with the 9s. And obviously, once in a blue moon, Michael Adamo is going to have it, and he will snap call you, and you're dominated. But it's just so much more likely that Michael doesn't have it. Adamo bets, almost 2 big blinds on this flop, like a quarter pot.
Yep, about 25% of pot. Well, Zhao can't be folding 2 9s. Adamo hits the ace. That's why you jam pre-flop, because you don't let this guy see some 4 or 5 cards out there, because he might be hitting those cards. He might be bluffing off the pot. It's just seemed a little weird that he opted to play the 2 9s this way, given how he just played the last hand. Because like if you're trying to ladder up, it makes sense to flat 2 9s, right? But if you're being aggressive and you're going for some plus chip EV spots, even though there's a guy with 1 big line out there, then I don't really see why you wouldn't do the same with this hand.
Yep. And if Javiera would have gone all in pre-flop, there's almost no way Michael Adamo calls. Like ace 10 offsuit is just too weak there to be calling 20 big blinds. So Perhaps a little missed opportunity there, but Javiera still in the tournament. Artur is opening up ace-3 suited under the gun +1. Michael Adamo on the big blind with ace-7 offsuit.
Yeah, well, Michael Don was going to at least call here. He's thinking about maybe I should put the 3-bet bluff on Artur.
No.
He's thinking about it though. You can feel it because the thing is, you never know with Michael Adamo. Calling would be the standard, but he's thinking about it, and man, doesn't it really feel like he's bumping it like the 300K? It's
Oh
a
my God.
394K bet. That's aggressive.
Michael Adamo, you are ridiculous. And he does get Artur to fold. All right, Artur, lesson learned. Let's not try to raise that big blind of Michael Adamo.
That's the thing. He's putting Artur. He's like, I know you're aggressive, Artur, but I'm Michael Adamo. Just put him to 10. Well, 10-8 offsuit is in.
That, I don't, right?
Yeah, why not? Just clicking.
I mean, the man has one big blind, and he may just feel he's like, well, I think I've got 2 life cards here, and going up against pocket fives is like one of the best things he could have hoped for. But Mark is in the hand as well, and Mark flops top and bottom pair, so now it's going to be rather hard for Romashka to win this one, unless he spikes a 10 on the turn or river.
Well, Artur is going to bleed a little bit of chips there. He's going to put 2 big blinds in roughly, and Mark's got ace-3, top and bottom pair. He looks like he's going to go for a check raise, but I wouldn't mind him just calling there. Maybe he can get Artur to like multi-barrel and he check raise all in on the turn.
Yeah, I don't mind the play. I think he's just hoping that like Artur would have had a random ace and then make sure that he stays ahead. Well, we need a 10 or an 8, or our satellite player is bamboozled. And it is not going to be a 10 or an 8. Artur will give another nice play emoji. Romashka will finish in 8th place. And he walks away with $54,000. Not bad, Nanonoko. Turning $100 into $1,000, into a $10,000 tournament ticket, into $54,000 on the Tuesday evening. Well done by Romashka.
Yeah, pretty good for a guy who's satellite in. Probably had some low expectations. And, it's not bad, though, 8th place. 2 pair for your guy.
Yeah,
6-5.
Artur just checks it on the flop. We'll probably put in. No, he's not going to put in some chips. I think he's really hoping that that Nicholas hit that queen, but Nicholas did not hit that queen. Artur with the full house.
Artur's got a bet now because I think his opponent would have tried to bluff already. So it does seem like he's trying to show down an ace high, and the ace high is not going to bet this river card, and it's an over bet 1.5x or 1x.
I don't think Nicholas is gonna call.
He's thinking about though.
It's just not needed. It's not necessary.
I agree, it's not necessary, and nice read. I like how Adamo was just showing these pairs like, yeah, you got bluff.
He didn't have the queen. No, he didn't have the queen, Michael. Though he did have full house there.
He's trying to spice things up. Everyone who's not in the hand always tries to spice things up, throw out the cards they had. It's Queen 10 suited against Queen 10 suited coming up.
And maybe a queen deuce as well. No, don't do it, Artur. Get out of there. Nicholas should absolutely call here, and they both flop a backdoor flush draw.
Yep. On this kind of flop, they're both just going to try to show it down, put in a little bet probably. Michael Adamo has been c-betting most flops, so he's going to continue with his 25% pop bet. And Nicholas here, he's going to want to just call, hope for some checks. I think both players are going to want to just check this down on the 8 on the turn.
I don't know though. Michael Adamo did lose one hand already against Nicholas. He doesn't like losing 2 hands in a row, Nana. I know that much.
That's true. Let's see what Michael Adamo's thinking. And yeah, they both got a very showdownable hand. I hope you don't have an ace. I hope I have the best hand. Should meet those 383,000 chips, but it's going to go chop chop. Min bet.
All right. Min bet and Michael Adamo will make the call. So you were correct. It will go chop chop. I think Michael Adamo will consider that a loss. He's like, oh my God, I should have bluffed him off that. How can I chop it up over here? Mr. Gamble waking up with kings as Giorgio's actually has ace jack offsuit under the gun +1. He's playing 22 big blinds. I really wonder what he does with this because I always find it a bit tricky to play ace jack offsuit when I've got like a somewhat shallow stack.
It might be thinking about 3-betting it and just fold to any further action. Flat calling is quite tough. I think if I had a choice, I would 3-bet the ace jack and flat the ace jack suited. But you know, good. He might have made some crazy 3-bet bluff and lost some chips. Gamble here, 2 kings. I would just jam though. I know his opponent's not going to call, but it does look pretty. His opponent does look pretty strong, and yeah, despite just wouldn't expect to be 3-bet bluff too often. That would still go in with the 2 kings right now rather than try and slow play.
Mr. Gambo is indeed gonna ship it all towards the center of the table, and he will just take it down pre-flop. He'll give us a little emoji as well. I love Mr. Gambo, Nano. I'm actually, you know, last week I think he really entertained us, and I hope he has a great run tonight.
Yeah, you know, these guys with the screen names, right? They've been entertaining. You know, we've got our fair share of different names up there, like, you know, 20 Big Will 20, right? Like he is, you know, we do have a real name on him now, but, you know, it's okay. I like these guys.
They both flop a jack. Nicholas is gonna bet. Obviously, neither player holds a club, so a monotone board like this always a bit intimidating.
Yeah, I think against this bet size, even though you don't like to call down, you got to at least see a turn card and see what happens. 2 pair for King Jack. As good as it gets, because usually when you get called on the flop, you're like, oh man, I don't know what to do on the turn, don't know what to do on the river. But when you hit 2 pair, now it's easy bet and you know, try to win this pot.
That is a proper bet as well. More than half pot. Don't really see Mr. Gamble do much here other than fold. It's time to let the jack go. Down to 7. As he gives us a just one time. Man, Nicholas is running hot. This is picking up hands, picking it up on the right moments as well. It's going to open up ace jack here from the cutoff. And I think, well, Mr. Gamble, he wants round 2.
Mr. Gamble, I like it though. You know, I'm not. It's not a play I would make personally, but you know, if you're gonna go to war, 9-7 suited seems like a decent hand. They won't put you on that hand too often from the small blind.
Well, Nicholas is just going to take this one down as well. Nicholas Assad is absolutely cruising so far. The 20th edition of the High Roller Super Millions, as he's up to 4.4 million chips, and he wakes up with pocket tens the next hand.
Yeah,
open this.
Some very playable hands. He's not getting the aces, kings, and queens, but you know the jacks, those types of hands, the tens. Ace 5 for Adamo. I would like to see him call here. He is going to make the call, and Nicholas is going to probably win a very small pot here because he goes for a check. But Adamo's kind of a showdownable type hand, ace 5. He wins sometimes when it checks down. See what he decides to do, though.
I mean, he's got the 5 of hearts, right?
He does have the 5 of hearts.
Mayfield, that's worth something.
Yeah, so Adamo is actually going to go for a bluff here. I think he's trying to move his opponent off a better ace high or maybe some like little pocket pairs. But I don't see how Lena 900 can fold this. Wow, he actually folds a turn. Man, that's a big respect. I think it's kind of weird because you would think the chip stacks are switched around and you know, that's a muscle play from a chip leader, but it's actually the chip leader who is like, you know what? I may have the chip lead, but I know who you are. I know you're crazy. And that's the thing. When you got such a crazy image, you see a turn bet. What do you think? There's a river bet coming. It's like, if I call this on the turn, I know I'm folding river card. Maybe I just look King 7 just jamming 28 big. Was it 28 big blinds or something? My God.
Yeah. I mean, Mike Adamo is just like, all right, I can't be bothered. We're not going to play any small pots over here. Either you have it or you don't. Most likely you don't. Let's get it on. Let's move into the next hand. Giorgio's here with the ace-10 offsuit from the cutoff. That should be a raise. And I absolutely do think that Artur is going to defend. Unless Mike Adamo is going to do something weird again. But Artur should probably call here, right? See a flop.
Good hand to see a flop with. Bad flop, so you just get out of there. But you know, you put in 40K, getting a good price, what, 4-1, mandatory call.
I mean, Georgios may not be in love with this flop either, but little does he know it's a lot better for him than it is for Artur.
Yeah, you've been here with the ace-10. You're thinking like, please just fold because I'm not sure what to do on the turn. Because there's a lot of hands that, wow, 7-8 just called with a very bad straight draw. Because let's say he hits a
Yeah,
10, his
that's
opponent could
not
have
even
like a
good.
king. It gets, yeah, it's just a, you know what? This is just a, I think you're just putting a one bet and check the turn play. I'm going to steal it on the river. It's very adventurous. I'm very surprised. And you know what? Some people like they see the backdoor spade, right? They're like, okay, gotta go.
All right, Artur is just going to fold on the turn after Georgios put in a 3 big blind bet there. That was a very weird call on the flop. I gotta be honest. I picked Artur and I love the way he played last time. I don't like that unless he's got like a very specific plan for the turn or river. But yeah, to then just fold to the next bet, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I feel like against Georgios' stack, it also doesn't make as much sense because he probably isn't going to just randomly bluff this flop. And I like how Georgios played the ace-10, actually, the small bet on the
Yep.
flop, small bet on the turn, because his opponent will have a lot of hands like 10-9, you know, those jack randoms that just probably can't handle that much heat. And it's these two guys actually been batting out a bit, and they're across the table. A lot of like medium pots, but Nicholas has been getting a lot of hands that he can definitely continue with.
Let's see what Nicholas decides to do with his flush draw in this one. He's going for the check raise, and Mike Adamo obviously has absolutely nothing, like he has most of the time. So Nicholas will take this one back. So he got me to fold pocket tens. I'll get one on the board as well.
Yeah, that's right. Adam's got king 5. He's going to let it go. Mark Rodoya, ace deuce. I think he's going to open, you know. He's been hanging in there, actually. I don't recall too many plays so far, but I know he's been getting involved in hands, so yeah, I like it.
Takes this one down. He was involved in the queen jack hand, the 3-way one.
Yeah.
Georgios, king jack suited under the gun. He's playing 19 big blinds.
Hey, Georgios is Blackjack, right? The guy who won this tournament came into chip lead, and you know I didn't know much about him then, but I like the way he plays.
He played really good. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just kind of like gets in there a little bit, and you know for a short medium stack, he's still getting involved, and I'm really liking the way he's attacking pots still.
I have the feeling that Mr. Gamble is going to tag along for the ride. He's like, Jack 4 suited, baby. 50K extra to play a 3-way. I'm in. And he does flop a gut shot and a backdoor flush draw. Georgios flops an open-ended straight draw. And Michael Adamo casually flops top pair. What do you make of the flat call pre-flop by Michael Adamo with ace-queen offsuit?
Don't mind it. I think the standard probably is a 3-bet get it in. But you know, I think you can probably go either way. Georgios does check. At this point, Adamo's got to just bet. He's going to put a small bet out there. And I think that might get Georgios to consider a check raise all in, because a lot of times you would just check call here, but sometimes you see the small bet and you're just like, ah, man, when they bet so small, they got nothing. But maybe Mr. Gamble is going to go for a check raise. He's going for, I don't know what Mr. Gamble is doing. It's confident.
I know what Mr. Gamble is doing. He's playing, you know, when I play like that, people are like, oh, you're a bingo player. And I was like, what? Yeah. It's like, you may as well just play bingo, man. He's like, he's hoping for the 9 of diamonds. Doesn't get the 9 of diamonds. We do get a king, though, which means that at this point, Georgios has actually taken the lead with his top pair. What a bizarre hand.
Yeah, a bit weird, but I like the way Georgios, you know, he's cruising. He doesn't want to exactly get it in, but he obviously doesn't want to fold. Adamo of ace queen. I don't see how he thinks he's got the best hand, unless you're really stretching. And it looks like Georgios is gonna ship this pot. But you know, Mr. Gamble, he might just throw in like 600K. I don't know. He just feels like he doesn't have anything, right? And maybe he could represent the 8-9, and yeah, I think he could.
He absolutely could. I mean, he's in the big blind. He goes for the massive bet. If Mr. Gamble gets both of them to fold here, he's my new favorite player, and I will never stop speaking about Mr. Gamble. Georgios with his top pair. What will Georgios do?
I think Georgios might fold this hand, because I'm just trying to think what hand he beats besides the same exact hand, King Jack. Because like the truth is, Gamble shouldn't have that many bluffs. He does get King Jack to fold. I don't know if Adamo can call ace queen though either. He's just thinking like, what does he beat? I don't know a hand he beats. And that's why this
Eh,
is actually a brilliant bluff here by the Jack 4. Oh, it's such a crazy hand.
He beats Jack 10, maybe? That would play like that. Oh my god,
Nice.
Mr. Gamble gets it done. He just called with the Jack 4, called on the flop with a couple of backdoors and a gut shot. And then he just fires a massive bet on the river. He's like, hey, you guys see the 8 pairing the board? Yeah, that's me. That's my name all over it. I love it. Well done, Mr. Gamble.
That was such an insane play. He got two big hands to fold. Like, you're just thinking, okay, how does a Jack 4 win against the Queen 10? On Queen 10 8 against King Jack and Ace Queen, and he got it. And the King turn too. That was so crazy.
Yeah. Awesome. I absolutely love it. Mr. Gamble is cool, man. Like, he gave us a couple of awesome hands last week. And well, he's already delivering tonight again. Ace deuce on the button. He's gonna duke it out. Michael Adamo may have taken out all the best players in the world, but now he's got Mr. Gamble raising him every round.
I think Adam was in trouble against Mr. Gamble. Mr. Gamble is he's like our new favorite unknown player. I feel like
Yeah.
he's just get it in there and just fighting. Yeah. And the funny thing is, Nicholas is the chip leader. He's been playing really solid, but he doesn't open crazily like Adamo. He just opened Queen 6 suited under the gun despite being in second place. So it's like a very, very different style. He does let Adamo hit the jack though. I feel like all these guys are like so scared of Adamo check raising you that they just keep checking and they just let him hit cards that he should not be winning.
Michael Adamo will check his top pair. Mr. Gamble does have a deuce of hearts in his hand. May feel like that's worth something. Oh, he gets there with
Really
the
suck
flush.
out.
I mean, it's the tiniest of tiny flushes, but hey, it's still a flush, and flushes are pretty good. Will Michael Adamo check one more time, or is he going to actually lead out here?
He should be checking, but okay, a min bet. I guess it's kind of a value bet, block bet type thing, but he's gonna not like what he sees.
He's like, the deuce of hearts, really, Mr. Gamble. Why do I feel like we're gonna get a heads up between Nicholas Osted and Mr. Gamble tonight?
I mean, it's possible, but I'm liking the way Nicholas is playing. Of course, Michael Adamo and Mr. Gamble. I think those three guys got the chips, and I think we might have a cool three-way match going on later. I don't want to count everyone else out right so far, but Artur hasn't been impressing so far today. The other three guys obviously are quite short stacked, and
if you guys missed the broadcast last week, Mr. Gamble actually finished in second place after a pretty epic battle with Ole Shemyon. And there was that one hand with King 7 that if he would have just made the call, he would have most likely ended up winning the tournament. But it's super cool to see him back already the following week and making a couple of great plays against fantastic players. Javiera could be in a little bit of trouble here, Nananoko, as he's opening
not
up.
a little bit. He's in a lot of bit of trouble. He's going to be out of this tournament pretty soon.
Well, that's what you always say, but we still have 5 cards to go, Nananoko.
There's no chance. It's literally impossible for a 7 to come. Literally.
He's gonna flop quads. Oh no.
See, literally impossible. Quad queens.
That's what I meant, obviously. Congrats to Mike Radoya, who picks up a 1.2 million pot, and Javiera is once again out in 7th place this time. So not the magical run that the Portuguese all-time money listed leader is hoping for, but it's fun to have him. Played a couple fun hands, but I wasn't really able to make big waves happen at this final table.
Yeah, I haven't seen like a big performance from Zhao yet from our final tables, but I'm pretty sure Nicholas Ested has flopped a straight with 6-9 offsuit to bust out Nader earlier. He flops another straight, same flop.
I know, but it's perfect as well. It's like it's a rainbow board. It's ridiculous. This is the second time 6-9 just flops a perfect straight. I mean, maybe even more perfect if the 10 is a 5, but this is good enough at the final table of a 10K high roller.
Wow, an overbet. I think that should get Artur out of there, and got a little greedy there, but some people like to get a little greedy. Ooh, this is huge God. Hands, and they both got massive amounts of chips. Wow, is this gonna get it in?
I don't know. This is going to be so bizarre. Okay, basically, Giorgio's is shoving under the gun with ace-5. At least Artur gets out of the way with ace-6 suited. You know, Nicholas Osted is perhaps in some trouble here because 2 of the aces are dead. So he loses quite a few of his outs.
Wow. I feel like Gamble it's okay. He's got 70 big blinds almost, but I feel like this is the spot where maybe you just go for it because I don't know if Nicholas Estet is jamming 2 queens, 2 kings, 2 aces. It does seem like he's got ace king or maybe like 2 tens or two tens.
2
is
nines.
possible. It's possible. Gamble, I think, should use a lot of time bank here. Really break it down. Look, you already got second place before. You're kind of free rolling this tournament today.
No! Oh my goodness! I truly wish that he would have called. Let's see if the jacks would have held or not. Oh my goodness! 3 queens on the flop and jack on the turn as well. I mean, that doesn't really change anything. Could we get an ace or a king on the river?
Ace, isn't it? Oh no, it's not. Oh man. If Mr. Gamble went for it, he'd have all the chips. But if Nicholas, let's just say Nicholas instead actually just re-raised minimum, man, they would have got it in because 2 jacks might have just jammed it in, and this could be crazy. But this has been a fast final table, man. I would love to see the 2 jacks call, but I don't blame him for folding. But man, I would love to have seen it.
I folded jacks once pre-flop, like basically when we're down to 14. And I was wrong. They had 10s and 9s. And I was like, all right, that's the last time in my life that I ever fold jacks pre-flop. As Doc Polk said a long time ago, it's a cold day in hell before I fold pocket jacks. Should have listened to the master of YouTube videos. But all right, on to the next one. Yeah, go ahead.
But like, why do we always folding 2 jacks at the Super Millions? 2 jacks is pretty much shipped. But every time someone's folded 2 jacks, it's one to hand like 90% of the time. Like, Chris Fitzgerald has set a trend as the jacks folder. I don't know what he's done.
Well, I do remember on we saw jacks being folded a couple times, but the one time that Chris Fitzgerald folded it on the right side of the table when I think he was on the button or on the cutoff, he actually would have lost the hand. Like that time, he would have lost the hand.
But I think he was ahead, but he would have lost.
Yeah, of course. No. Yeah, I mean, most of the time they are ahead with jacks, right? There aren't many hands that are ahead of jacks.
Nice bet
Michael Adamo.
Yeah, he just
casually wins one.
This has been fast. Has this been fast? 4 bust outs, because 4 bust outs with guys who's starting with 20 big blinds seems quite quick, given we haven't hit the first break yet. And this is what I like to see, because actually all the guys we lost were guys who aren't as aggressive as other guys. You know, we still got Michael Adamo, Mr. Gamble, Nicholas, Artur. Like, this is actually, if I had to pick 5 people still in the tournament, this is the perfect 5 to pick. And the king 5 suited.
Artur should be able to come around here with his queen jack suited. It flops pretty well. I do have a small heads up for all our viewers. Our producer told us that we will have some issues real soon for roughly like 10 to 15 seconds. There will be a little hiccup on the stream, so don't panic. I don't know exactly what's going to happen or how it's going to look, but just know that everything is going to be all right after that. And this is an action flop, Nanonoko.
Yeah, this is a very good flop for Artur. They're playing about 30 big blinds. Queen Jack suited. I would like to see Queen Jack suited actually just call here, because some guys don't see bet this flop with ace king. Say he calls, and say like an 8, a 10, or 5 rolls off. His opponent actually won't bet that card because they know they don't represent the straight too well, and then you can still move your opponent off the hand on the river. And he does make the call. It's king 5, Mr. Gamble. Oh man. Sometimes you're thinking like, okay, please fold the flop, and you hit the king. You're like, oh, I got saved, but did he? Nope.
No, he did not. There is no way for Mr. Gamble to win this hand, correct? No, there's no way. So the only way Artur is right now just wondering, how do I truly double up in this hand? Let's hope you have a king. Let's hope you have a great king. That's not the case. Mr. Gamble has a very random king, but
yeah, I like to see Artur just call. I mean, your hand is just so strong. He's got a little greedy here. I feel like he's thinking, okay, I think he's hoping his opponent has 2 aces, ace king. I don't know, something like this.
I'm actually kind of greedy though. Mr. Gamble might be steaming a little bit because he folded the jacks, and he's like, I'm not folding top pair right now, and I've got a gut shot as well. And I'm like, but it's too risky because you could be drawing that, and nobody likes calling when they could be drawing that.
Oh yeah,
So
here's
I
our
believe,
little hiccup.
yep, a tiny glitch in the matrix, but everything is gonna be fine, guys. Let's just hope that Mr. Gamble still has all his chips by by the time the hand is done. Oh
Yeah,
man, if he would have called with checks, oh.
this would be a very different tournament. And Nicholas Estet would be actually out of the tournament like soon after, right? He would have so little chips left. Look, don't worry, we'll be back. We're back, and it looks like he did fold, and it instantly 2 jacks for Nicholas Estet and Michael Adamo 3-made the king 5 suited.
Okay, can you tell me how Nicholas Osted has picked up pocket jacks 3 times in 50 minutes? At a final table of a 10K high roll in Ananoka. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, and he's got all the chips. And the one time his opponent folded 2 jacks, he still won the hand. And here's the 4 bet from Nicholas Estet.
It's going to take that one down as well. So we are just down to 5 after only 50 minutes of poker. That is indeed way quicker than we normally see it. Obviously, we do have a couple of players that play very fast. Michael Adamo plays fast. I think Artur plays fast. And even Mr. Gamble plays pretty damn quick. So perhaps some of this makes sense. But it is odd because we didn't have any guys with 5, 6, 7 big blinds entering this final table. And maybe that's what it was, Nananoka. There was no obvious laddering. So people just went for it and tried to win big pots.
Very, very possible. Mr. Gamble, 10-9 suited. Yeah, I think you're right a little bit that maybe he went a little crazy with the king 5 suited because he's thinking like I should have called with those 2 jacks, a little salty. But he actually dusted off like a million chips after that hand, and now Nicholas Estet is running hot. Flops 2 pair. He's hitting some big hands with some garbage hands, and then he just gets 2 jacks every other hand.
I would generally say that this is the dream final table run if you're Nicholas Osted. Every hand you hit good flops, you get big pocket pairs, nothing crazy happens. He didn't even have very tough decisions so far, right? I feel like all of the hands, they were pretty straightforward. I think it's been the definition of smooth sailing up to this point.
Yeah, exactly. He actually goes for a check on the flop, and now he's going for a big bet. And Mr. Gamble picks up a super draw.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow Gamble he's just getting involved in all these pots right now.
Yeah, I won't blame Mr. Gamble if he calls this one, even though it's a pretty big bet by Nicholas Estet, but I just feel like Mr. Gamble's hand is too strong to fold.
Well, we know Nicholas Estet doesn't like to see that river card. He's going to have to check. I'm curious to see what happens because Mr. Gamble's going to have to bluff. Wow, it's actually a block of value bet. It's quite interesting because actually I think if Nicholas checked that turn card, he might lose his pot because Gamble might just put in like a 800K bet. But I don't know. Is Gamble just going to min-raise or something crazy? That would be crazy. It'll work. I don't know if he can do it, but it'll work.
No, he's not going to do it. He's already been crazy once tonight when he represented the 8. He's like, I'm not going to represent the 7 or the deuce over here. So Nicholas Ostad picks up another pretty big pot, and he is our dominant chip leader at this point with 6.3 million chips. And has he lost a hand? I feel like he lost one hand where Michael Adamo kind of semi-bluffed him with the 10s, right? He lost with 10s. That's the only hand
he lost. He only lost 2 big blinds in that hand. That's the funny thing.
Michael Adamo is defending his big blind with deuce 3 suited. Doesn't flop a whole lot. Artur is going to be loving this flop with his pocket 5s, though.
Got 2 5s. Just bet that flop. Get your opponent to just fold.
Don't do it, Michael Adamo. You don't have
to. He's thinking about check raising. Man, this guy, it's not going to work, though, because like Archer is not going to fold 2 5s on 7-7-4 flush draw, but you can see Adamo was like, I got the worst hand possible. He goes for this check raise. Relentless. But sometimes being a relentless doesn't mean it's a good thing because sometimes you just give away some chips. And there's the call from Artur.
Artur called really quick there as well. He's like, all right, let's just move on to the turn and see what you do there. But I ain't folding to that. And let's see if Michael Adamo will continue his story or not. Obviously, he's got to be a little careful as well. Michael Adamo came into this final table with over 3 million chips. And he's been, well, if he loses his hand, he is way below 3 million.
Yeah, it does seem like he's just going to give it up. Does Artur want to bet the 2 5s here? It's a tough spot because you kind of want to bet to protect your hand and just take it down. It does seem like your opponent just went for the check raise and just given up. I think I would like to see a third pot bet, and it looks like Artur does agree.
It is always a bit scary though. Like I totally agree with everything you said, but I'm always like, oh, what if they were bluffing, but they did actually hit that queen? Like I know that's very fish reasoning, but it does
Mm.
always scare me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's definitely very possible, but sometimes you just gotta look at the whole range of hands and just be like, you know what? Please fold, please fold. And if you get resistance, then you're just like, okay, I lost a little bit extra.
All right. We are on to the next hand where Nicholas is going to bet a little bit. I think Mark will absolutely call with his open-ended straight draw. Why do I have the feeling we're going to see the 4 of diamonds on the turn? Because I feel like that's been the final table we've been witnessing. Well, we don't get a 4 of diamonds, but we do get a pair of 3s for Nicholas, and that will also give him the lead in this hand.
Yeah, it's a decent card for Nicholas is set to consider keep betting. Of course, he could just check, but betting is not bad too. He could get a lot of better hands to fold, say like ace 6, 7, 8,
Wow.
and he is going to go for another bet. And it's very hard for Mark to call here without a king.
Mm-hmm. That is just one hell of a bet as well. Like we've seen a lot of small bets so far at this final table, but that was a proper bet, like 70% of the pot. And that will do it for the first segment of the 20th edition of the High Roller Super Millions final table here over at the GGPoker official channel. It's been one hell of an hour. It truly flew by. We are down to 5. We have lost Nader, Romashka, Javiera, and Georgios. Previously known as Blackjack. So Blackjack will not win every single final table he made, as he was, well, he made it to one final table before and he won that one. But that is it, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Nanonoko is already gone. I'm going to take a quick break as well, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes to continue our coverage. If you're enjoying the show, please make sure to follow the Twitch channel. It's free, and you'll get heads up whenever the channel is live, and there's a lot of awesome poker content on this channel in general. So give it a follow, and we'll be right back. See you guys soon. Hopefully you're having fun. Go grab some snacks. All right, guys. In 1 minute, we will continue with our coverage of the 20th edition of the High Roller Super Millions final table. Before we do that, I'd like to mention again that obviously on Saturday we always have the Beat the Pros event that starts at 7 p.m. Central European Summer Time, so 1 p.m. For the East Coast. It's a very fun event. A lot of the members of GGPoker are participating in it. And if you knock any of us out, blue, yellow, or purple, obviously yellow is influencer, purple is one of the streamers, and blue is a pro, you'll receive a free ticket into a $5,000 free roll. There's quite a few opportunities to knock any of us out, especially some of the influencers, including myself. Not necessarily the players you normally find in those kinds of events. So it's good value, and it's a really fun tournament as well. It's really cool to follow all the journeys. Brian Paris was able to win it 2 weeks ago. That was pretty awesome as he streamed most of it. 3 of these 5 guys have won a High Roller Super Millions before. Mr. Gamble didn't win it. Mr. Gamble made it to the final table last week, but he finished second. He should have won it against Ole Shemyan. Got so damn close. Obviously, Michael Adamo has won it 3 times. And Artur made it to the final table once, and he won it as well that time.
Were you just talking about the Beat the Idiots tournament? Not just kidding.
Well, if you see some of my plays in it, Nanonoko, that statement is not incorrect, but
yeah, so right now it's really just been Nicholas Estet, but the thing is, he's obviously been hitting some good hands. He's been playing really well. And some guys have just been kind of dusting off some chips to him, right? Like Nader gave him some chips, Romashka's given some chips, and even Michael Adamo's been giving him some chips with some 3-bet bluffs that can't get it done against Nicholas. So it's been really cruising for him. Adamo's been aggressive. He hasn't done too much, but you're saying?
Yeah, if you join us later, every now and then we'll refer to Nicholas Estet as Lena900, as that is the online screen name that he's known for in the poker world. And once upon a time, he was actually playing on the DID Speedy Double, and that's at least 2-3 months ago. And he also made it to one of these final tables. And then we gave him a real ID name, so everybody can recognize him and know that they are dealing with an absolute crusher of online poker.
Yeah, so actually, I'm not sure if you're aware, but there was a time when I don't know if you know Patrick Leonard Pads. They had like this prop bet. It was Patrick Leonard, the European, and this guy named Elmerix, which is their kind of like their crew. They're obviously 3 very strong players, and they had a prop bet against Lena 900 and some other guy, 2 Swedish guys, C. Darwin or something, and I think this Nicholas Estet and his team of Swedes did win that prop bet. It was just like a prop bet of who can get the most cashes in some tournament series. And I don't want to talk about too much because there's a hand going on right now.
This crazy. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
That turn card. You're thinking, okay, it's just a one and done type flop, right? But no, when you turn that kind of a draw, I feel like Nicholas Estet's going to put a huge bet in here. I mean, like, over 1 million.
Oh, wow, he go for 650K. I wonder what Artur does here. This is a pretty sick spot for Artur because you're like, man, I feel like my hand is good. I get 3-bet before, makes the call, but Nicholas Estet spikes the 9 on the river, makes the straight. Oh man, Artur is running rough tonight.
Yeah, but he made the good call on flop, good call on the turn, of course. And Nicholas Estet shoves the 10-8. Now that 9 is so sneaky too, because like, okay, it's not a flush getting there where like, okay, you can put him on his draw. Now it's just pure trying to bluff, catch, and guess, and Artur is in a tough spot, man.
Well, like you said, Artur make the correct call pre-flop, on the flop, on the turn. Let's see if he can make the correct decision on the river as well. This is obviously for Artur's tournament life. A disgusting run out. There's no other way to put it.
And ace 10 it's a pure bluff catcher right now. It's the 10 is he does block some straight draws that would bluff this way, maybe like Jack 10 suited, like being 10 suited. But still, I mean, it's a tough spot because your hand looks like ace 10. It looks like ace jack, and your opponent still puts you to the test. It's a really nasty spot because if Nicholas has had a draw, he might still feel obligated to bluff this river card anyways, just because, try to represent that ace king.
As you guys can see, Artur is deep into the tank. If he makes the call, he would be wrong, and his tournament run would be over. He would be eliminated in 5th place. We've seen Artur make a couple of great laydowns in the past. We know he likes to be aggressive. Doesn't love folding too much. I feel like that's a trend with most of these top players that like to be aggro. They don't like folding. It hurts
I'm
Artur,
not.
but
I'm not sure how often Nicholas Estet is doing some triple barrel bluff in this spot. I do know that if I was against Michael Adamo, I would never be folding. I'd be just like, man, you just got lucky. Good luck for you. But like against Nicholas Estet, maybe that's what Artur's thinking is like, how often has Nicholas been 3-barrel bluffing? And like, we don't know what happened before this final table occurred. Of course, these guys got a lot of history. There's a lot going on.
oh
It's a
no.
call, and it's GG for Artur Martirosyan out in 5th. Your guy is gone.
This wasn't meant to be for Artur. He really couldn't get much going. And Nicholas Osted is just running hotter than the sun tonight. Even when he's 3-bet bluffing, pre-flop, on the turn, he somehow gets there on the river. And he is now our dominant chip leader with 9.5 million. Nanonoko, I'm going to do some quick math for you. He's got more chips than the other 3 players combined, okay?
Yeah. Like this is all Lena 900 is crushing. Like he's gotten to our final tables and hasn't been doing as well. He got like I think like a 4th and a 7th, but this is his night tonight. I don't know if Adam was going to get his 4th title today. It doesn't really seem that way because he's been losing chips to this chip leader as well. But I'll tell you this: yes, Adamo's clearly in 2nd, but you know he's way out chipped. But he still has 50 big blinds, which is a lot to play with. You know, say the blinds were higher to like 100,000, 80,000, I would be like, okay, this is all like easy pickings for Nicholas. But there's still a lot of play to go.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, and you know, like Nicholas said, he's very, very good. Like just because he's Michael Adamo doesn't mean he can just run over these guys.
Well, Nicholas is opening up 9-5 suited. Under the gun at this point. Let's see what Mark decides to do with his ace-10 offsuit on the big blind. Will he raise? Oh, he'll go all in even. And he'll get the immediate fold out of Nicholas. Well done by Mark. He's fighting back.
Yeah, I like that play. You know, we've seen a lot of guys just call there for like 23 big blinds, but they like the thing is you just let your guy just run hot and hit some cards for no reason when you could have won the pot. Like, you know, sometimes, yeah, you got a little bit more big blinds than you would love to shove with, but sometimes you just got to do it. Otherwise, you're going to bleed into one of those 20, 18 big blind stacks.
Yep.
And look at this. See, like you just keep checking, and you know what? You keep letting these chip leaders just hit some cards.
Yeah, Nicholas spares his 4 on the turn, and Mr. Gambo is going to let his king jack go. This is just not his board. Doesn't really connect with anything, has nothing going for himself. Well, all 4 players getting absolutely, I want to say nothing here, but Nicholas Osted actually getting ace-9 suited in the small blind. That's obviously a more than reasonable hand, so he's going to open it up as well. Since we are 4-handed, I actually feel like we're going to play a lot of hands real quick as well. And that obviously does mean that the blinds will go up quicker. At this point, we're only at level 29, I believe. But yeah, that won't last very long, Nana.
It won't last very long, but like I've said, you know, we still have a lot of big blinds to play for, despite some guy with 200 big blinds almost, like 190 big blinds. That's insane. I don't know if we've seen a situation when a player's had 190 big blinds at one point in the final table.
No, I actually don't think we've seen that. Like, I remember Holiday having an absolutely massive stack coming into the final table, but I believe that was like 92 or 95 big blinds. Definitely not 190 big blinds.
Yeah, like the blinds go up by the time you get this coming. Like, this is actually a stack size we see heads up.
Yeah, no, it's a good stack size heads up. Like, it's 50-50 most of the time.
Yeah, and plus, this stack size of heads up would be like, you know, 60 big blinds maybe, but here it's got almost 200. So I would just grind it out right now. And it looks like Mr. Gamble's got top pair, top kicker against a player with top pair, good kicker. I think this is nice knowing you, Mark Bedoya. It was your first time at this final table, but 4th place is coming up for you. Yeah, there's 2 cards to come, but you're not hitting that queen. It's not possible, right?
Well, I want to say he could hit running clubs, but that wouldn't do a lot for him. And Mr. Gamble is holding the ace of clubs. King on the turn may slow the action down a little bit. So
Mm.
maybe Mark doesn't necessarily have to lose all of his chips here.
Yeah, definitely true. I think Mr. Gamble, like, you check raise ace 10. Oh man, it sucks because obviously there were a lot of bad turn cards, but I feel like you just got to keep betting because you're gonna stack off anyways. He does check. I don't know what the best play is, but when you check, you kind of let your opponent dictate what goes on.
If Mark puts a proper bet in right now, 350, 400K, I actually think that becomes a very difficult decision for Mr. Gamble. Then I feel like it's all in our fault. Instead, it goes check, check. And there is another scare card on the river. This time it's the Jack of Spades. I actually won't be surprised if this goes check, check again.
I expect it to go check, check. I think Mr. Gamble at this point just got to be like, I hope I win. And same thing for Mark. I hope I win. And it looks like Mark did fade himself from busting out of the tournament by not just shipping in on the flop, though. But it's a small block bet, 25%. Man, Queen, you really feel like you're behind here with the Queen 10, but then you're like, occasionally I have to be good, right?
That's a tough spot. I mean, if you're wrong, you're left with 650K. 13 big blinds. Do you think that Mark would ever make a raise here? Would he ever ship it?
He's probably thought about it, but I think he's probably thinking maybe a call is good enough already, just because. But it's 5-1, man. You really don't have to be often correct too often. That's a nice value bet from Mr. Gamble, man. Can you? I don't think Mr. Gamble was expecting to get called by worse too often. Ship it.
He picks up a big pot, and he is now almost tied with Michael Adamo for second place at this final table. Mark with the sarcastic "I'm so good" Elky emoji. Michael is going to ship ace-4 offsuit from the small blind and just steal that big blind away from Mark Radoja.
Yeah, it looks like, and we might get our three guys that we were talking about at this final three, right? Mr. Gamble, Adamo, and Nicholas Estet. Two kings, though.
Yep.
I guess he's back.
I feel like raising looks powerful, and shipping, obviously, they won't really call you unless they actually have something. He is just going to send it with the kings, and he's going to hope for a light call of Mr. Gamble, and Mr. Gamble will make the call. Well, this is exactly what Mark Radoja was hoping for, and he is going to double up in this hand as Mr. Gamble's drawing dead on the turn. Well done, Randy.
Yeah, I was thinking the two kings though. Like, yeah, you're right. Like, how can he make this play look weak? And actually, shoving was the way he could make it. Because if he limps or min raise, it would look insanely strong with 9 big blinds.
Nicholas Osted is going to be raising king 6 offsuit of the button. Michael Adamo will probably call or maybe 3-bet with Queen 8.
Queen 8's a good hand to call with, and looks like they both flop nothing and should see it. Nicholas has the chips. He needs to just keep firing continuation bets, get his opponent to fold, and well done.
I feel like Michael Adamo has not really been able to be Michael Adamo tonight because Nicholas Osted just hit everything, and he's been the Michael Adamo of this final table.
If Mr. Gamble folded the 6-4 suited just now, Adamo would have just shipped it in and just lost half his stack to Mark Radoja. He might still lose some chips. He's thinking about 3-betting the ace deuce offsuit, and the more he thinks about it, it's coming, isn't it? It's the 3-bet. Bye-bye 400K.
This is the calm before the storm. There we go. 400K it is. And Mark Radoja on his big blind with 15, 16 bigs, 17 even, pocket nines.
I'm actually feeling pretty good about 2 9s here. I normally wouldn't. You got 20 big blinds, but I'm actually feeling like I'm just going to take this pot down and win, like increase my stack by like 50, 60% a lot.
Well, and he is correct. Well done. All of a sudden, Mark Radoja is totally back as he's back up to 1.6 million. It's amazing what a couple of kings can do for you.
Looks like those 3 guys just even out their stacks a little bit because Nicholas Estet's stack didn't go down.
Yeah, they are just distributing chips to one another. Mr. Campbell should be able to win this one, though. He's got the ace of diamonds. I don't know if I like it.
Tricky.
when he's
It's an interesting check, but I think it's going to pick up some chips from Nicholas, and he does get his opponent to throw a bet out there, and Gamble's got the ace-9. All right, let's just call now. Once you check this flop, you got to just call, and it's a 5 straight, of course. Of course, the Jack-8 somehow gets some of his chips back. Maybe we wins this pot because it's an overbet.
Oh my God. Okay. Well done by Nicholas Osted, who bet 700K into a 400K pot where both players would have just been playing the board. Nicholas now over 10 million. He's playing incredibly well, but he's also, once again, running pretty damn hot tonight.
He's over 10 million. Yeah, that's impressive. King 9. He's just been raising to Gamble's big blind a lot. I'm not sure if Gamble realizes. So at some point, Gamble should be 3-bet jamming into Nicholas's set.
I wonder what Gamble does here with Queen Jack. Does have the Queen of Spades. Obviously, makes a straight with the King.
Should be calling here. You don't want to raise and then get blown off of it in case your opponent has like an ace that wants to go with it. Double gutter.
Yeah, 9 will now also make a straight for Mr. Gamble. Nicholas Ostad does have one of the 9s though, so it's a bit harder to hit one of those. And actually has one of the kings too. He's blocking all his straight outs.
I like the bet from Mr. Gamble. You got to bet here because if you check the turn, you don't look like you got an ace here ever. No, nice. They're fighting back a little bit against Nicholas's set.
Yeah. I mean, for Nicholas, that doesn't really change that much, right? It goes from 10.2 million to 9.7. But for Mr. Gamble, those 500K chips are very precious. Finishing top 4 in this tournament is nice, 151,000. But yeah, if you just survive 2 more players, you make it 251,000. So $100,000 pay jump just to survive 2 players.
Well, Mr. Gamble, he's got a second place so far under his belt and a top 4 minimum here, which is pretty good for a guy who doesn't play all these tournaments that often.
Imagine if he gets back-to-back second places. I mean, it's not quite winning it 2 times in a row, but that'd be amazing.
It would be like winning it for Mr. Gamble, in my opinion. He's min betting here against Michael Adamo, who's got the pair. But I don't think I just don't see him winning this pot no matter what happens. Even if he goes bet again on the turn and bet the river, I think Adamo would still call him down.
Well, Mr. Gamble is going to slow down on the turn, and he will just check. Let's see what Michael Adamo decides to do with his pair of 8s. He's going to go check it as well. Mr. Gamble, can we get it done? 400K, a massive overbet.
I don't think it will work, though. I mean, maybe it'll work, but like this, your line is just so okay. He's going for it, but is this going to work against Michael Adamo?
I don't think the bet is big enough. I feel like if you want to get it done like this, I think you need to bet way bigger than this.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening. I was trying to create a story for Mr. Gamble to win this spot. I just never saw a storyline where Adamo hits the fold button, you know?
Well done there by Michael Adamo. It's obviously not an easy call with a pair of 8s, but we know that he's capable of it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to win 3 of these tournaments in the first, 20 weeks we've had it now. Mr. Gamble is pretty much going to rip it all in with his pocket 5s, and he's at least going to take this one down. But look how quickly the amount of hands go down in the top left side. In 17 hands, the blinds will go up once again. And if they keep playing like this, Nanonoko, that's in 7 minutes from now.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty quick. Mark's got the King 5 suited against Ace Jack. Looks like it's going to be a limp, a raise, and likely a call.
I think if you're limping, then you're going to have to call here as well. Obviously, there's a lot of flops that could be big for Mark. A suited king, small blind against big blind. He's going to go for it. And this flop is pretty big as he makes top pair.
Yeah, it's good enough. You know, you're not expecting the flop trip 5s or nothing, you know, but King 5, it's a check. And I think Mark can go for 2 streets of value here, as long as it breaks out safely on the river card.
It's going to bet 201K on the turn. A lot to Mark Radoya, not that much to Nicholas Ostat. Seven doesn't really change anything. I mean, there is four to a straight on the board at this point, but I won't mind if Mark checks here. But I do feel like you got to be check calling.
Yeah, we've seen Mark make some thin value bets in the pre-show where he was just kind of go in these blind versus blind spots. So it wouldn't have surprised me if he decided to bet again. Ace Jack, I don't think it's good too often. It's occasionally, but not often. So he might feel obligated to fire a bet, and that's not going to get it done. Like,
No. I think that sizing you're gonna have to call if you're Mark. I mean, you still have top pair. You may not like to see it at first, but you gotta believe top pair is good here.
yeah, you just you still beat the heart draws, random hands. I just can't fold for this price. Sometimes when you get such a good price, you just gotta close your eyes and calls. I know he made that call up to Queen 10 earlier and was wrong, but you don't got to be good too often here to make this call like 20% of the time. Just don't fold it, Mark.
I mean, Mark is obviously looking around him. He's like 1.1 million. If I'm wrong here, I once again drop back to 900K. And it is going to hurt because then Mr. Gamble pretty much has you out chip 2-1. But you got to call here with top pair. Like, it's not comfortable, but you got to believe the king is good.
Yeah, I guess he's trying to think what hands he beats, and it really is there's a decent amount of two hearts out there that'll bluff here. Maybe a random 6 that wants to turn his hand into a bluff now, random 7. I just think for this price, you got to make the call down. Don't think too long because you might you start talking yourself out of it, you know?
Yeah. You're like, I don't beat anything. Like, what do I beat? This is like, he could have had it all along. He could have had Queen Jack, you know. Can have any 8 there in the big blind. What if he has pocket 8? Who knows?
Oh, I love Mr. Gamble. Hurry up. Yeah, it's a small pot. Hurry up, Mark Rodoya.
I think he will make the call. I think he's still going to make the call. It's going to be a crying call. It's going to be like, I hate my life. He calls. He's like, oh, never mind. Life's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, if he makes the correct call in Nanonoko, he's over 2 million chips and he pretty much has the same stack as. No, he folds.
Oh my God.
No. Oh, Mark Radoya.
That's the thing. He took too long. And the thing, you know what it was? I bet you it's the Queen 10 offsuit call he made earlier that got him. He just like, oh man, am I really gonna bleed some more chips? I got value bet, but I don't know, man. I don't love it, but it is what it is.
I get it. It's a scary board, and there is so many hands that beat you, and obviously every 8 is always gonna bet in a similar way. But I still just feel, especially against the chip leader, you gotta believe that top pair is good there at least 20% of the time, right?
Yeah, definitely for 20% of the time. Like if his opponent bet bigger, and then I probably would maybe consider laying down a lot more often. But for that price, and there's an obvious flush draw that missed. I don't know. It just seems so unlikely. And plus, you got to think of the fact it's a raised pot, so it's a little bit less like his opponent would have that random 9 to make a straight. I believe it was a 9. So yeah, I don't like it. But you're a good player. You're gonna make mistakes, and that could be a very costly mistake, though. And now's not the time to be making mistakes.
Nicholas Ostad is going to raise king 4 suited off the button. Michael Adamo will defend his big blind with ace 6 offsuit. Neither player flops a whole lot, but you got to kind of like your ace highs in general on boards like this.
Against a min bet, I would definitely be continuing. I'm not... Obviously, with these ace high type hands on paired boards, you're just thinking like, please don't bet again. It looks like Adamo's thinking about maybe raising, but it looks like he's going to call. And good card.
Reasonable turn card for Michael Adamo. All right, we'll go check on the turn. I think Michael Adamo knows he's good, but he also knows it's going to be very hard to get any chips out of Nicholas Ostad here. I feel like he needs to bet very small, like 90K or something.
Well, he should bet amount that he thinks a 10 would call him. So that wouldn't be big at all. It would be pretty small.
Okay, that's very big.
But it's kind of a bit of a style play because Adamo knows he would bluff hands this way. But in general, I think for most players, a small bet would be ideal. But maybe for Adamo, bigger bet works better for his overall game plan. Let's
see what Mr. Gamble decides to do with his ace 3 offsuit on the button. The blinds will go up again in 14 hands, as you guys can see in the top left side of this table. It does not go up over time. It goes up by the amount of hands we play.
Is Adamo think about 3-betting this hand? Because remember he 3-bet the ace deuce offsuit earlier.
Yeah.
Same spot, and he got jammed on. Okay. Sometimes you got to put your foot off the gas and put it on the brake.
That's exactly what he does. Oh my goodness,
Ooh.
Mark Radoya just shipping it all in with 10-9 suited. That is one hell of a play for, well, 20 big blinds. Well done.
Yeah, it's aggressive, but it's cool. You know, if your opponent's opening some ace X's, they can't call for that price. Yeah, that's a really nice play. You know, a lot of guys don't do that, but I like the style. You know, just kind of put that pressure on, maintain your stack. Don't let yourself bleed out where they're waiting for you.
Yeah, I guess it was like 18 or 19 bigs, but it's still a great move by Mark, and he gets it done. Mr. Gamble is going to try his luck again the next round as he's opening up King Jack offsuit. Marco Adamo folded Queen 6 suited. He's not going to fold the Jack 9 suited. Nicholas has said, what do you do here with King 9? Like,
I have to see a flop. I mean,
yeah,
flop's all right. See what happens, and it's top pair versus top pair. Mr. Gamble. So Mr. Gamble's been showing down some bluffs too. So like, I don't know if Adamo's going to be able to fold his hand to him.
He's going to bet half pot in this three-way hand. Michael Adamo's wondering what he should be doing with his top pair. He's going to make the call. Nicholas Ested will most likely get out of the way. He doesn't really have anything going for himself. That is an ugly turn card for Michael Adamo because he might just feel that his hand is still good. He's in a bit of trouble here, Nano.
Yeah, big trouble. Gamble is going to continue value betting here at the King Jack, and Adamo is not going to fold his Jack 9 for this price. It's just too good. He could be up against 2 diamonds still. Just a random like 2 10s or 2 9s might want to bet this way sometimes. No. Yeah, I just don't see him folding this hand, and he's going to need a king.
That might actually save.
It might save him, but also might cost him chips too, because he might be reading into the king being a good card to bluff.
Oh, okay. If Mr. Gamble is a genius, he checks here, but he won't check.
Actually, Gamble needs to bet because I think Adamo would insta check this hand.
Okay.
There's a shove, and I don't know. Adamo might call here, man. He might just thinking like this Gamble guy's been showing up with some random hands in some spots. He knows about that Jack 4 suited play earlier now, right? Like the price is good. It's a good price, but it's tough. It's real tough.
I think Michael Adamo will find a fold here. Like it's obviously not something you're very happy about, but if he was bluffing with any like king, queen, ace, king, he got there anyway. And there is a chance that you were beat all along. So obviously you're not happy about it, but I think Michael Adamo will find a fold.
Yeah. I wouldn't fault him either way though. Like given the situation, given how Gamble has been playing some spots, it does make sense that his opponent could show up some bluffs. But of course, his opponent could easily have the king, queen suited, the ace, king suited. I guess the question is, if his opponent had king, queen of diamonds, those types of hand with king X diamonds, would he bet the turn just 33%? I don't know the answer to that, but that's what I would be thinking if I was Michael Adamo.
I think that makes a lot of sense. See, Michael Adamo is really thinking about it, wondering if his Jack 9 is ever good here. But I mean, you can maybe put Mr. Gamble opened though. Let's not forget about that, right?
Yep.
He's the one who opened. I guess what do you beat? I mean, I guess you beat ace 10 and ace queen.
Yeah, and then again, those hands might play a little differently too. Usually when people think more, they do fold, right? So I would love to see Michael Adamo fold this hand.
I think he will.
But we know he likes to call. We know he likes to call down too. That's the problem, right? You put this hand in someone else's shoes, they would have folded already. But Michael Adamo, he likes to find reasons to call. He's looking for it. We'd love to see him fold.
I've rarely seen Michael Adamo take this long to make a decision, actually, because normally I feel like he plays really quick at these final tables.
Well, he knows how important these chips are right now in the spot.
I guess Mr. Gamble is a bit of a wild card, right? If you have analyzed the way that he played last week.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things do come into play. Michael
It does
Adamo
make the
makes the
call.
call. Oh. And that means that Mr. Gamble gets the full double up. And now he is second in chips with 2.9 million. What do you think he put him on?
Just the random factor, like you said, it's just Gamble has played a little bit random in some spots, has been aggressive. You know, he's looking back on old hands. He's thinking, okay, he 3-bet King 5 suited. You know, he puts in multiple bets. He had a Jack 4 suited play. Just there's too much randomness that he decided to make the call. And Adamo's our short stack now of 20 big blinds. He's not looking too hot today. And he hasn't been running too good. But you know who has been running good? Nicholas Estet.
Lena 900 has been running more than good. 46% VPIP, and he's just hitting everything at least that hard on the river. Will save some chips to Mr. Gamble. This could have been a whole lot worse. Like if that is just a random king or queen or ace of, well, maybe ace is a bit scary, but king, queen, jack of diamonds, then I think Mr. Gamble loses a whole bunch more there. Man, Nicholas Assad runs so good tonight. It's ridiculous.
He's been cruising. He still has a ton of like 160 big blinds. Mark's gonna open up. Let's see. I wonder if Nicholas Asset will maybe defend, maybe 3-bet this hand. I think a 3-bet would be a pretty cool play for him to do.
Michael Adamo has king 10 on the big blind. You know that he now he will get out of the way immediately. As Nicholas Asset did make the 3-bet indeed. What does Mark Radoya do?
King 8 suited. It's a good price, but I would not to be defending this out of position. I feel like you're burning chips too often. You just don't flop well.
Mark Radoya is the only player who has not previously made a final table at the High Roller Super Millions. Mr. Gamble was on it last week. Michael Adamo was on it on the 3rd, 6th, and 10th edition, and he won all 3 of them. And Nicholas Ostad has made 2 final tables before. One on the DID Speedy Double in the very beginning of the High Roller Super Millions, I think week 4 or 5. And then a little bit later, we saw him back as Nicholas Ostad as well.
Is there a chance Adamo gets a full double up here? I would say the answer is potentially. If Nicholas Estet is thinking, you know what, ace 4 offsuit, maybe. Oh, okay, well, when his opponent just jams, I don't think the ace 4 is calling. But if Adamo min raise, he might have got reshipped on possibly.
Yeah, I think even when he ships, don't you think that Nicholas Estet would ever put him on like maybe a king queen suited, a king jack suited, those kinds of hands?
Yeah, I think he would, but I think with that hand, ace 4 is just a little too weak because if his opponent has those hands and he also has ace 9s, ace 8s, it's quite bad actually to get beat in those spots.
All right, well, Adamo picked up the small blind and the big blind, but that's about it. He's now going to have to defend his big blind with 7 deuce offsuit. Mr. Gamble, is he going to ship it in? I have a feeling he's just going to send it all in. He's like, I've seen you do it, Michael Adamo. That works for you. No, instead he's going to limp. All right.
I would have loved to see actually to ship it in. I think suited king would have been just a fine play to make. Adamo can't really call off too light. But they both not flopping too much. But Adamo, I mean, Gamble's got the chips. I think he should be firing a bet out, and I like it.
I truly find it fascinating that we get so many familiar faces and same players each and every single week. I mean, you know, we've had big fields. I mean, this week we had 154 entries. But we've had plenty of weeks with over 200 entries, and then obviously some over 300 entries during the craziness of the World Series of Poker. It is honestly very cool.
7 deuce suited. You think Gamble's just like, you know what? Yes, let's open up the 7 deuce suited.
I'm generally not sure after watching Mr. Gamble play for 2 weeks if he's a genius or a lunatic. Like, I'm just not sure, but. Oh, and Michael Adamo with the reshove of ace 5 offsuit. And he's going to take this one down pre-flop. Mark Ratoya is showing them that I really had nothing, guys. I couldn't do anything.
Oh, 2 6s and 2 3s. This could potentially get it in. Depends on how Michael Adamo opts to play it. If he just raises, I think his opponent ships in 2 3s, and we got a Michael Adamo back in it.
22 big blinds, though? Do you think that's worth it with pocket threes?
Well, I'm saying if Adamo had open raised, Nicholas Estet probably would just reshove the hand. But now that Adamo open shipped himself, the 2 3s would be out. So hands play very differently based on how they open.
Sorry, Manny. It's been a long day for me and a been having a bit of a migraine today, so I'm like, well, 22 big blinds. Calling that off with pocket three seems difficult, but yeah. Mike Adamo is going to open up my favorite hand in poker, and I feel almost everybody's favorite hand, the Jack 10 of hearts, but Mark Radoya is going to ship in the Ace Jack offsuit. I think Michael's going to have to let this one go. Well done by Mark Radoya. He's playing pretty solid tonight, no?
Yeah, he's playing solid, and he keeps showing his deuce 3 offsuit, 6 deuce offsuits pre-flop when he folds into the big blind.
You know, I had a hand last week that was a bit similar to the scenario we just saw, but it wasn't 20 big blinds. I was basically the big blind at the final table, and I had pocket threes. Somebody went all in for 11 big blinds, but there was a bounty in play as well, like a 12 times buy-in bounty, would you call it, pocket threes for 11 big blinds? I had like 40 bigs.
Yeah, definitely. Did you do it?
Yeah, I called. I lost. But I did make the call, and I was like, I think it's an okay play because of the big bounty. And I had a massive discussion in my Twitch chat and stuff, but I'm happy to see that you're on my side.
Very, very standard. Because in bounty tournaments, you kind of have to just, you gamble it up a lot more because half the prize pool, whatever is in the bounty. But you should have folded. Twitch chat was right.
Yeah, in hindsight. No, we were flipping and I got out flipped. All right, Mr. Gamble's duking it out with Michael Adamo. 7-5 offsuit. He's got a gut shot, but that's pretty much the only thing that he's got going.
It'd be a tough call for King 5 to make. I'm not sure if he can do it, but it is check on the flop, and he does make the call of just King 5 high. Wow.
These two guys are building up some serious history here with each other.
Gamble, is he gonna fire again? Wow, that would be very, very sick. It does kind of look like his opponent has a pair that doesn't want to fold. And it's an over bet. Gamble is a
Gamble.
He's the new favorite player, I think. He's my new favorite unknown player.
I want to see Mr. Gamble make it to our super ultra special edition of the High Roller Super Millions with Bean Boozled and Bruno Volkman and Michael Adamo. After today, Artur is disqualified. No, I'm kidding. I would love to see one of Artur.
Artur is disqualified, but we put Ole Shemion in there. That would be real nice.
Well, Mark Radoya is sitting on ace king suited after Michael Adamo limps from small blind. I actually kind of like that he just puts in the raise there, because sometimes they do that with nothing, and then there is a chance that Michael Adamo is like, all right, I'm going to make a play. I'll go all in. And then Mark Radoya would have been able to snap call. Didn't work out, but I still like the idea. Next hand, he picks up ace jack suited nano.
Hey, he keeps getting like these nice reshove spots and just kind of maintaining his stack. But the funny thing is, I still see him at 1 million to 1.2 million. Like, I've seen him reshove a lot, but like he still seems to have the same exact stack size.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Blinds do go up again at this point. 35K, 70K. Yeah. Michael Adamo with pocket fours. Nano Noko. Do you know which pocket pair always makes a set?
It's a good hand. It's pocket fours, and it's my guy. Please be correct, Roddy. Please be correct. Please.
He's going to need a set, most likely, because ace queen will absolutely call. Well, not a bad flop for the fours. Oh!
Don't make a set. Don't make a set. Don't make a set. Do not.
Pocket fours always make a set. Oh my god, that was close. But the fours will hold of Michael Adamo, and he gets the double up. Back to 2.3 million. That is such a nerve-wracking moment as well for Mark Radoya and Mr. Gamble, right? Because they're sitting there like, ace, queen. It's like 4 on the river.
Ooh, that was close, man. Michael Adamo is doubled up. He's been just hanging in there. He's been fighting. Actually, the fights he's been picking, though, it has not been working out for him that often. This is I remember we had final tables where Adamo has been running hot, right? Like he just cruises and crushes the final table. It'll be over by now. But today is actually one of those colder days for him. He did come in as chip leader. He is still putting the pressure on, but his opponents are fighting back a little bit.
I mean, sometimes people get great hands over and over again, but they just keep running into setups or coolers. Nicholas Osted has been getting a lot of great hands, but all of them have been holding as well. And he's been able to get a lot of chips by playing them, of course, correctly, but a lot of them were pretty straightforward.
Well, the chip stacks are so close between the third and fourth place guy. But he's still got a lot of chips to play for, you know? Adamo's got 30 big blinds, Gamble as well, and Mark's got 20 big blinds again somehow. And, you know, still a battle, yes. But the thing is, this chip leader isn't as crazy in terms of like opening every single pot. So it does feel a little bit grindy this past half hour so far.
And I mean, we have seen a lot of chip leaders fall at these final tables. We'll never forget Runef when he somehow dusted up 9 million chips in like 2 hands. But obviously, Holiday had a massive stack. And I mean, even the one where Mr. Gamble finished second against Ole Shemyon. Oh, you know, Mr. Gamble made one hell of a comeback at one point, and he actually should have won the tournament. So.
Yeah, I do remember that Ruin F when you were like, "Oh my god!" Because I think you picked Ruin F to win, and he four bet jammed 2 7s or 2 8s into 2 aces or 2 kings, and it's like it was the chip leader, and he didn't need to do that, and just dust it all off. Okay, it was an interesting scenario here. I think Mark Redoya, ace 8 offsuit. I probably think he could consider jamming this on Adamo. Looks like he does up the careful line, and when you get a post flop spot, 2 7s.
Yeah, I don't think there's any need to ship this in. I think Michael Adamo has a few too many chips for that at this point. It's actually a pretty perfect flop for the 7s because Adamo does get a piece of this flop, but it's the piece that's very safe for Mr. Gamble.
Yeah, but you know, with these low kind of medium cards, it's hard to get like a overpair, you know, or like a top pair. It's almost impossible. So here's like, okay, maybe a little bit. Oh, wow. Interesting turn.
Open-ended straight flush draw, Nanonoko. With pocket 7s, you don't see that super often.
Yeah. Gambo is going to check and probably just check again for king 6. It's not ideal, but I mean, it's just so many bad cards. 7 makes a straight.
Yep. I do think that I won't even mind if Mr. Gamble checks here, because obviously if Adamo does, yeah, if he has, I think he should.
I think you should check because you're more likely to get called. It's hard for you to get called by worse, but it's more likely your opponent could maybe try to represent that queen, and you can just pick off a little chips, contain the pot a little bit.
I'm definitely with you on that one. I think Michael Adamo is right now wondering, can I represent a queen or not? And he's gonna go for it, but it's not a massive bluff though. It's a tiny bluff.
It's a tiny min raise, but yeah, gave him some extra chips. Nice play from Mr. Gamble. Actually, his little bet there potentially won him the max up. Although I do think Adamo probably would have bluffed like the same amount of chips anyways, so maybe it turned out the same. But is this the end of Mark Wadoya? He's 10.
I mean, he's gonna open it up at least. Nicholas Ostad will fold the king 9. Mr. Gamble will get out of the way. Michael Adamo, though, on the big blind with ace-jack suited. Are we calling? Are we 3-betting? Are we going all in?
We're shipping in ace-jack suited. I guess the question is ace-10 offsuit going to call the shove? Tricky. Because it could easily be flipping. Could easily have the best hand. He just snap folds.
Okay. I guess he just has a... You know, he's a disciplined man. He's like, I'll open fold ace-10. That's just the way I play my hand. We might play some post-flop, maybe not. But if somebody goes all in, I fold. No hesitations.
Yeah, Mark's really solid, it seems, right? He doesn't like try to get all the chips in too crazy. I'm not sure if the ace-10 fold would be a correct fold in general against Adamo in this four-handed scenario. But you can see that he's got a consistency on how he's playing in. Ooh. I like this one. Gamble.
Yeah, he's putting in the big 3-bet against our chip leader, and I absolutely love it. Well done. Even though they always tell us to never overplay King Jack, Mr. Gamble missed that episode.
I feel like Mr. Gamble is like extra aggressive today, rather than last week against that field. I feel like he's just. It's a different. I guess when you get to back-to-back final tables and you didn't ship the tournament, and you felt like maybe you should have shipped it after watching back the stream. You're just thinking like. I'm gonna get it done today. And Gamble is actually playing in that style. Oh, nice turn card, right? Like check on the flop. That's disguise. And Nicholas Estet's gonna go for probably an over bet. I don't know.
Wow, that's a pretty decent bet as well. More than half pot. And obviously, Micro Demo loves to see it. But the ace-3 is going
Don't put it straight out there. Don't put another straight out there. Let my guy get a nice double up. Let him be back in it and get his 4th title.
Well, I think Micro Demo is going to raise here. And then I actually think, no, he's just calling. That's actually pretty smooth. Let's see what Nicholas Estet decides to do on the river, as the 9 of clubs doesn't really change anything.
I think Nicholas Estet goes for a big value bet. Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. I think A7 is often the best hand. Obviously, an all-in is coming. Can Nicholas Estet call with A7? Oh, man. It's, you know what the tricky thing is? From Nicholas Estet's point of view, he's thinking, what hand do you play this way for value? 2 deuces makes a lot of sense, and a 7-9. But other than that, the line wouldn't make that much sense.
Micro Demo is right now going for his best Hollywood impression. He's like, what is the right moment to go all in? I think 542 is a good moment to ship it all in.
Yeah, that seems it's about right. Come on, click. Okay, so what? 532.
527.
Click it. Come on, push. Oh, come on. Okay, we don't know.
530.
Yeah, close.
I like how he left some chips behind. Not many, but it seems like
I can't even see how many chips. Like, is that a big blind or something? I'm not sure what it is, but Nicholas here now. I think Nicholas Estet will use some time bank here because, like I told you, this hand doesn't make that much sense. He probably doesn't think Adamo's opening like 5 deuce suited, deuce 4 suited, especially, you know, like this current chip stack scenario. It wouldn't make sense for him to be that aggressive. So that's a problem because it narrows down Adamo's range to such less value hands. Like, who checks his flop with like say Adamo had his flop to straight or 2 pair or an overpair? Would he check this flop? Probably not. Oh, nice fold though. A lot of chips for Michael Adamo.
Yep, Micro Adamo back to 3.3 million, which is pretty much what he started this final table with, if I recall that correctly. Yeah, he came in tonight with 3.2 million. Well, he's got more chips than he started the evening with, Nana.
It did seem like he was going to be out of this tournament pretty soon, right? And maybe Lena 900 would just ship it. But now things have actually changed. It's just Mr. Gamble and Adamo, they actually both have a lot of big blinds, like 40 to 45 big blinds. It's a lot to play for.
Yeah, Mark Radoya is definitely, once again, our shortest stack. He's hovering around the 12 big blind mark at this point. Might feel like he wants to make a move with 10-8. Yep, he's going to go for it. And he's actually going to get it done. That's pretty big if you're only working with 12 bigs to just pick up a small blind and a big blind and he empties like that. And he gets pocket 8s the next round.
And I think he's going to get it all in. Adamo's got a hand he's going to easily ship this in on. Like, it's just how he plays, 14 big blinds. Good luck to Mark Radoya. He needs to hold.
All in and a call is what most likely is going to happen here. And that is indeed what happens. Michael Adamo needs to spike a king or 2 4s. Nothing there. Nope. Turn is safe as well. If Mark Radoya can avoid a king on the river, he will get the double up, and he will get the double up. So he's back to 2 million as well. I like how we just like lost 4 players immediately, then lost 1 player a little while after. But these 4, they're really hanging in there. Uh-oh. I feel like Michael Adamo could lose even more chips here.
Well, yeah, he's definitely going to raise. Yeah, Mark's going to 3-bet. Should be the end of the hand. But, you know, these guys, Nicholas Estet had 11 million chips at one point. Everyone had like 1 to 2 million, but now it's like 3 million, 3 million, 2 million. Like, this is a bit of a battle today. Well, it just ships it in 2 10s. It's very... I probably would have just preferred a little 3-bet rather than just ship it in. Let your opponent make a big mistake.
10s are hard to play post-flop, man, because most of the time there is at least 1 scary card.
It's true, though.
Cards.
It is true, and your opponent does like to call 3-bets. It is pretty annoying when it comes like, you know, Queen Jack 5. Like, do I have the best hand? Do I not?
Yeah. Can't really make any mistakes if you just go pre-flop all in. This is like, there's only 4 hands that are technically better than mine, or 4 combos, but all right. 10-7 against ace-5. This would be the wrong moment for Mr. Gamble to get too carried away. He's gonna limp. Michael Adamo actually he just checks this one back. I'm a bit surprised to see that. And Mr. Gamble flops in a pretty big way, Nano.
Mr. Gamble should be betting this flop and betting any turn card almost. Just win this pot. And I know Adamo's thinking like, man, maybe I should have raised pre-flop because now can I really continue this flop? But he does continue. Strangely, this is very heroic without a 5 of clubs.
And I mean, he's in the lead, so in a way he's not wrong, but there are a ridiculous amount of cards. Is it possible to have like any more outs if you're Mr. Gamble? Well, Mr. Gamble will take it down with another bet on the turn here, but any 7, any 10, any jack, any 6, any club. It's a lot of outs.
I like seeing Mr. Gamble play. He's actually been very he's been fighting Adamo a lot, really been battling. He's been winning the majority of the pots against him so far.
Yeah. Mr. Gamble really has been playing pretty solid tonight. Mark Radoya will most likely make the call here. Flops 2 overs, a backdoor flush draw, and a gut shot. So I don't think he's going to go anywhere.
I think Nicholas Estet should be betting this flop because his opponent's been playing a little bit more straightforward-ish. Usually he'll take it down, but Mark's got 10-9 suited. Makes a call. This looks like a nice spot for Mark to win, right? Like, it's hard. This is probably not a card Nicholas Estet will bet again on a turn, and Mark can just fire that river card.
So you think Mark should lead out here on the turn?
I think he should just check. Wow, he actually is going to lead. I don't mind him just keep checking though, but leading out is just a little tricky though. But yeah, well done.
I don't know, the boys are really fighting back. Nicholas Estet was, I believe the highest he got was 10.2 million. He's at 7.6 million at this point. And now Mr. Gamble picks up the aces 4-handed. Mark Radoya just won a whole bunch of chips, and we know that he doesn't like to hang on to those for very long because he does his best work from like the 12 to 15 big blind area.
Yeah, it looks like he wants to 3-bet it, doesn't he? Yep.
Oh,
okay.
No.
It's funny because you're right. Now he's back down to 2 million in chips.
Should Mr. Gamble ever call? Yeah.
Yeah, he should call sometimes. But the thing is, I think Mr. Gamble thinks Mark Radoya has been playing a little bit more snug. So he might just 4-bet this, thinking like his opponent actually has a hand. Oh, nice call, though. Very nice call. Gamble is on point today.
Yep. And he's got position, of course, as well, right? Post flop. So that helps a lot. Mark Radoya will most likely bet probably like 420. It's perfect 420 amount. 329 is going to be. And now I'd like to see Mr. Gamble just either go all in or put in a big race.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, I don't mind him just calling with 2 aces, to be honest.
Oh, it's scary. It's scary.
now you're gonna get in. Yeah, I do like the call actually, because say his opponent had like ace king, ace queen, or king queen, you don't want to let him off the hook so easily. If his opponent had like ace 10 or whatever, they're gonna get in anyways. I did like the play, but at this point, somehow Mark Radoya is going to get all the chips in.
Well, he's got a lot of outs. I mean, any 9, any queen, any spade. So there is a chance. It's a very big hand. Can Mr. Gamble's aces hold? Yep. I think that's a hold. That's always a hold. Yep. 3 pips can never be a 9 there. So that is always a hold. Well done by Mr. Gamble. And that means that we are down to 3. Mark Radoya had a bit of a roller coaster tonight. He will walk away with $151,000. And then on Noko, we've got the triangle of death over here on the left side of the table. Because I think these 3 are going to give us some fireworks.
That's right. And yeah, it's funny because you said that it's hard. Mark Radoya does his best work from 10 to 15 big blinds. He had a little bit too many, so he decided to dust a little bit too many of the chips off. Very smooth play from the two aces from Mr. Gamble. Actually collected all those chips. Really well done, because if he 4-bet that, Marco Bedoya would still be in.
Mm-hmm. No, the call pre-flop was perfect, and then maybe even the call on the flop was perfect as well. But incredibly well done. And Mr. Gamble, he's on one hell of a heater in the High Roller Super Millions. Last week, that young man, I think it's a young man, took second place, and now he's down to the final three once again. We've never seen anybody win the High Roller Super Millions 2 weeks in a row. We've never seen anyone get 2 second places in a row either.
Yeah, no, it's actually he's actually quite good. He's a little bit splashy here and there, but I like the way he plays. Of course, I like the way the other two guys are playing right now. Nicholas Estet's been a cruiser, but he has been bleeding. He's been losing a little bit of chips here and there, but I wouldn't say he's been giving any of the chips away, because he did lose like the ace queen against the 2-4s, etc., etc. Adamo, it's actually haven't been having that great of a tournament today, but still in the top 3 somehow.
Yeah, I definitely don't think Michael Adamo has been playing poor. It's just he honestly has been running a bit cold. He was running incredibly hot. I think the second time he won the High Roller Super Millions, but do you know what he wrote? Oh, I'm kind of
I don't know.
curious what he
Find out
wrote.
for me, please.
I will find it out for you in our second break, Nanonoko. All right, guys, that was 1 hour of non-stop poker. We have lost 2 players. Artur went out in 5th place, and Mark Radoya went out in 4th place. So that means that we are down to 3. Hopefully, you guys are having fun. We're going to take a very quick break, and then we'll be back in a couple of minutes to bring you guys, most likely, the conclusion of the 20th edition of the High Roller Super Millions. But I wouldn't be super shocked if we are here for another hour. Obviously, if you guys are interested in playing some, you guys can always head over to ggpoker.com, download the client. You can use promo code GGTV as well to join us. Obviously, you need to live in a country that's eligible to play online poker. I hope that speaks for itself. And other than that, make sure to follow the Twitch channel. This Twitch channel is a lot of fun, not just because of the High Roller Super Millions, but a lot of the squad members do some GG takeovers as well. I know that Felipe Ramos was streaming some poker on this channel earlier this week. That was a ton of fun, and in the future, there's a good chance you'll see Kevin Martin and some of the other awesome guys that are part of the GG squad on this channel as well. So what are you waiting for? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Thank you guys for tuning in. Alrighty, guys, I am back, and I know that Nanonoko is pretty much back as well. In 35 seconds, we will continue our 20th final table of the High Roller Super Millions. We are down to 3. Mike or Adamo, our 3-time champ, is the short stack of the bunch, but we know that if anybody can make a proper comeback, Nano, it's Mike or Adamo.
Definitely possible. I would love to see it, but I think these other two guys are very worthy of winning it as well. I'll let you know. Of these 3 guys remaining, Adamo came in to the final table as chip leader, Mr. Gamble in 3rd, and Nicholas is set in 4th. The guy who was in 2nd was Artur, your pick, but he bailed out in 5th. But these guys actually aren't these short stacks that kind of ran it up.
No, and I think, like I said before, we went into the break. I think Mike Adamo has played well tonight. I just generally think he's been running a bit cold. I cannot remember a single monster that Mike Adamo picked up. He's going to have to be very careful here, Nanonoko, because those pocket fours, if they don't make sets, they do hold, and you know it.
Yeah, I'm like, it's going to be hard to make a set. There's only 1 4 left, but Adamo is pretty much going to ship it. Does Gamble just gamble it up with... No? Okay, good. Nice fold.
I mean, since one of the fours was dead, you should have probably been cheering for an actual call. Yeah,
true.
So your guy could have picked up some chips.
But I mean, I don't mind the fold of 2 4s. There's still a lot of big blinds to call it off with, right? 22 or so. King 9 and King 9, like you said, it's King 1. Mr. Gamble is the one pumping it up. Boring, because we know they're gonna chop it up at some point.
He technically has the better King 9. I mean, he's got the hearts dominated, but it's not going to make a difference. The ace on the turn could spice things up a little bit, though.
It could, but they're still not going to want to fold the hand. Like, likely what happens, okay, say someone opts to bet at some point, they're just going to check it on the river. Looks like another check, and yep, this pot's over.
Nicholas Estad with a tiny bet on the river, but Mr. Gamble will make the snap call. And he's going to realize that they had pretty much the exact same hand. Don't do it, Mr. Gamble. It's still Mike or Adamo. You got to respect him a little bit.
I'd like to see Adamo check this one. I think 10-9 suited plays pretty well. You don't want to get blown off of it.
Pretty decent flop, I'd say, for the 10-9 suited. Diamonds are still alive, even though we need a backdoor to make a flush, but obviously an open-ended straight draw as well. That should be enough for Mike Adamo to put in some chips, maybe 80, 90K.
Min bet it is.
It's funny, the blinds are so big already. 80K feels like a lot, but if you look at their stacks as well, like just betting 80K is a pretty big deal, especially for Mike Adamo. We're currently at level 32. King, Queen suited from the small blind. That should absolutely be a race. And most likely, Nicholas Estad is going to defend with King 10 offsuit.
Yep, I agree with you. I don't think King 10 is the play to make some crazy play pre-flop. And they both flop an all right flop. Not amazing, but, it's better than not being paired.
For Michael Adamo, this is already a big pot. Basically, 25% of his stack is laying in the middle. It's going to go for the one big blind bet here. He's a new man, Nanonoko.
Last time he was like overbetting every single pot, right? Now he's doing a min bet every pot. But like, Jack on the turn is a little bit interesting. Both pick up some pieces.
Let's just hope we don't see a queen on the river. That'd be very bad news for Mr. Adamo. Kind of funny how he's played this king queen. One big blind bet on the flop and he checks the turn.
I think Nicholas Estad's going for some value. He's trying to get called by like Queen Jack and Jack tens, but he's actually behind right now. Ooh.
Okay. I said it's good if we don't see a queen. Well, we don't see a queen. We do see it. We do see it.
It's the other card, right? But it should go check from Nicholas Estad. It's too hard for him to get called by worse, in my opinion. No obvious straight draws, flush draws you can represent. I'd expect him to check unless he really thinks he can get called by ace-9 or something. But
Yeah.
nice spot.
That is not the case. Well done there by Nicholas Ested. Sometimes people do get a bit carried away and feel like that 2-pair could be good there. Michael Adamo chips back up to 2.4 million. So he's still playing 30 big blinds. He may be the shortest stack of the three, but normally when you're playing 30 bigs, there isn't too much to worry about. It is obviously hard to maintain a 30 big blind stack though, right? When you're playing 3-handed, because I feel like you're under so much pressure all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, for a short stack, 30 big blinds is a lot. That means Mr. Gamble has 70 big blinds and Nicholas Ested has 90 big blinds. So this is a big of a battle, especially if Adamo moves up even more. You want the 3-bet jam.
Welcome
Jack
back,
nice.
Mr. Adamo. Welcome back. We have missed you.
Adamo, you know, he's at his best when he's got the momentum on his way. He just keeps winning that golden wall you like to talk about. When he can get that done, that's when he wins all the chips.
I've tried many times to get a golden wall. It has never worked. But
what's the opposite of the golden wall? Because maybe that one's easier to get, where you just fold every hand.
That's just a brick wall, no? By the way, Nicholas Elstad is sitting on quads here, just so you know. It's going to be hard for him to really get paid off, but he does have quads. Oh my God. No.
Getting some value, inducing some bluffs. Oh, the 4 on the river. Maybe Mr. Gamble tries to get paid off by an ace high and bets again.
I mean, I don't think Mr. Gamble is expecting Nicholas to have quads, but he may put him on a king. Oh my God, he does bet. Well done. I can't believe that Nicholas is actually getting so much value out of his quads here against the 7-4 of Mr. Gamble.
Yeah, somehow. And now I guess the question is how big does he raise? Nicholas is thinking, nah, I think he's going to raise big. I think he's going to try to get called by a king. Like try to get more value from the king, and he does go pretty big. But I don't think the 4 can call here. Who check calls this turn and river to bluff right now, right? Like it just would be insane.
Nicholas Elstad with quads picks up a pretty big pot. So he's back up to 7.7 million. Still not quite the 10.2 million he was an hour ago, but I mean, it's so funny, right? Because you're like, oh, I'm a 42% VPIP Ice Cube, you know, like nothing's going my way, but he still has an absolute monster stack compared to the other two.
Yep, exactly.
And even just winning like the small blind and the big blind a couple of times. This is, I think, why it becomes so difficult for Michael Adamo. Even if he has 30 bigs, and you can be like, oh, there's a lot of play left with 30 big blinds. I think 3-handed, the blinds come around so quick that you need to get involved. And you're going to have to withstand some pressure here and there.
I think both players are flopping a very similar piece, but Nicholas Ested with the top pair.
Yep. Nicholas gets the best of it. It's kind of disgusting because I think if you're Michael Adamo here, you're like, this is a pretty big flop for me. Flopping mid pair, you know, gut shot. Does have a backdoor flush draw, so a hard on the turn could be good news for Michael Adamo.
Oh, that was an unlikely card, right? Now they're going to chop it up, but they're both feeling pretty good about that card.
Yeah, Michael Adamo can actually feel better about that card than he right now realizes, because if that card didn't come, could have been ugly for him. Think he's going to raise?
I'm not sure. I think I would like to see a call because it's hard to get called by worse, but maybe my opponent will flyer off some more. But then again, raising is nice too because your opponent could bet a flush draw this way, and then you're kind of letting them get off cheaply. But I didn't mind that he just decided to slow play.
The board does pair on the river, but we know that doesn't really change anything for these two. They're both still just playing a straight. And I don't think they're ever folding this straight. It's like one of those moments where it's like, well, if you got me beat, you got me beat, right? It is what it is, but can't be folding here. And definitely not for that size. Will Michael Adamo raise or not? That is kind of the big question.
I think so. If we seen him min-raise bluff with the, you know, get on that 4 straight board earlier, it does make sense that he would raise when he actually has a straight, because people might think he's actually bluffing at some frequency. I would like to see him raise. I guess Adamo's thinking, what raise size to make it to maybe get called by worse. Yeah, I would like to see him bump it up.
He's blocking both of the flushes as well, though, so a little bit less likely that maybe his opponent had one of it. He goes for the raise. Nicholas, I said, will make the snap call. And we are going to chop this one up as well. Mr. Gamble not too happy to see that. We don't really think about it, but I think if you miss a gamble there, you're always like, all right, Nicholas just said, just knock him out, you know? $60,000 pay jump. It's not all that bad. Meanwhile, we are observing round 17 between Nicholas Asted and Mr. Gamble. Asted still does have the best of Mr. Gamble in this hand with a pair of tens.
You know, I look back at this final table. I'm thinking it's actually been these three guys been battling it, even when there was like 9, 8, 7 players, and it's really actually always been these three guys.
I mean, I don't even remember much. I know that Nader just kind of lost it all on the 9-9-7 board for with 7-8 suited against the jacks. And then Romashka thought it was a great idea to play post-flop poker with 3 big blinds. And that didn't really work out. And Artur just didn't really have...
Yeah, Artur just lost the ace-10 suited, right? And then everyone else just kind of just died off. Oh, I guess Mark did 3-bet the queen-9 suited to bust his stack because he had too many chips. Oh, okay. Nice turn card.
Nicholas Asted makes 2 pair. Michael Adamo does still have top pair. Does have a gut shot as well.
Yeah, I think Adamo is going to lose a good amount of chips here. Once Nicholas Asted checks back this flop, it does look like the Jack-10 is good, but the ace should save him from losing too much more. Maybe he loses a little bit more, but not too much more.
700K in the middle. I feel like Michael Adamo really has nothing but nasty spots tonight. He never really has his opponent crushed. He never absolutely has it. He truly has to battle for each and every single chip that goes his way.
Well, and that's what you want to be when you're such a strong player. You want to be the one that can fight these tough spots. And Nicholas, I think against this bet, can go for a raise. Yeah, I like to see him raise it up. It's 1 million chips, and Adamo in a tricky spot. I would think that Nicholas Asted hasn't been too crazy out of line, so maybe he can talk himself into a fold, but it's annoying because when you bet so small, you do induce some raises, right? From some bluffs.
Yeah. How often is Jack-10 good here? That's the question that Michael Adamo is asking himself right now. And what does he beat?
Well, the problem with Jack-10 is you do block a lot of hands. You block some straights, you block some flushes, you got a good pair. It's annoying. I guess you got to start thinking what hands my opponent would be bluffing in this way. And I'm not too sure what that would be. I guess a 9x type hand would make some sense.
Which kind of 9 though?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Wow, a re-raise. What?
That is actually one hell of a play. I did not really expect it. Michael Adamo pretty much all in at this point. I mean, it is a scary board. There are flushes. Maybe Michael is just like, hey, I've got the 10 of clubs. I can represent the flush. I can represent the straight. Could have 10-9 here, you know?
Wow, this is insane play. Wow. I think Nicholas Asted has to make the call. It's 1.4 million more. It's 15 big blinds. The thing is, when Adamo puts in that small bet, is he really doing a small bet with like a flush? I'm not sure, because I don't think Adamo would re-raise this way if he had a 2 pair. I think he just calls the raise.
Yeah.
Wow. I think Lena might look him up here. I don't know. This might be the end of Michael Adamo. I don't know what your thoughts are, but this is a tough spot.
I think I'm with you, because Michael Adamo normally bets a bit bigger as well if he actually does have it. Like, so if he would have had a very strong hand, why would he bet so small?
Yeah, I think if Adamo bet out the river like a third pot, they'd be much more credible. But this is like it looked like a blocking bet. I mean, Adamo, I do like that he's opting to raise his hand rather than call to raise, though, just because maybe he can move like a one pair hand off. Like,
Oh my God.
this is the end of Michael Adamo.
Nicholas Osted does make the correct call with his 2-pair, and Michael Adamo is left with one big blind. He does get ace-10. Mr. Gamble gave us the oh my God, but that is pretty much it. That play just came out of nowhere, Nano. I really didn't yeah. I mean, the 10 of clubs is a pretty sick card to bluff with, I guess, but the rest of the hand just didn't really make that much sense, though, right?
FPS, fancy play syndrome. That was as fancy as it gets for Michael Adamo. Sometimes you just gotta let it go. I know Adamo was thinking, look, I don't think my hand is good, but maybe I can move my opponent off the best hand. And is he out of this tournament? No, he's out. The 8 makes a straight.
Yeah. Mr. Gamble's got the best straight possible. So that is it. Michael Adamo is eliminated in 3rd place for the first time in High Roller Super Millions history over at GGPoker. Michael Adamo makes the final table, but does not actually end up winning it.
That's such a weird statistic for us to have to bring out, right? But that's true. He has a 75% win rate now. Things did not go his way, like you were saying. But that play, I felt like it's a little bit unnecessary. I felt like he just wanted to go down with one bluff before he leaves.
I really think that Michael Adamo, to put it lightly even, ran like crap tonight. I really don't feel like he got any monsters. I don't feel he got any real sweet setups that went his way. All the pots that he won, he truly had to battle for. It just wasn't his night.
Yeah, but I do feel like he also forced some action in some spots that maybe he didn't have to, just like the spot just now in some other spots. And but that's just the way he plays. Some
exactly.
guys,
I mean, normally we praise him for that, right? Like normally we're like, oh, Michael Adamo, sick play. So the one time it doesn't really work out, I don't think we can really hold it against him.
But now it's Mr. Gamble, top 2 minimum again. Now that is sick, right? Back-to-back minimum top 2. Lena 900, I think, in my opinion, been playing the best today at this final table. Been super solid, hasn't been crazy out of line. Obviously been getting some cards go his way, but he's not reckless. He's going to grind you out.
I think Lena 900 has obviously played incredibly well, but I also feel like it hasn't been too difficult. For somebody who's obviously as good as Nicholas, I think a lot of these hands and a lot of spots kind of played themselves. Obviously just made a great call with the 7-8, right? That's very well done. And there were a couple of other hands, but I feel like the majority of his chips kind of just came his way, and all he really had to do was put in a couple of raises with Jackson stuff and Ace King. And
well, people have gifted him some stack. Oh, just like chips. It does seem that way. Like he's just getting free chips. Anyways, it's Mr. Gamble. He's the 2nd time going into heads up. He as the underdog. Trip vibes.
Yeah.
I would like to see Mr. Gamble take this one down, but I'm not sure if it's going to be possible.
I'm going to need some running jacks for that to happen, or maybe a deuce 4. So let it go, Mr. Gamble. Yeah, I actually believe, Nanonoko, maybe our production team can confirm this, but this is the very first time in 20 weeks that somebody makes top 2 weeks in a row, right? We know that nobody has won it 2 weeks in a row, but I really don't recall anybody making top 2 weeks in a row either. So a very impressive achievement by Mr. Gamble.
Oh, you're definitely correct on that one. And Mr. Gamble, the funny thing, Mr. Gamble is that guy who satellites in sometimes, right? And I think this time maybe he just bought in because he won so much money last time.
Yeah.
So yeah, but they're playing for a good amount of money right now, obviously for the title. And if you win, you get a little golden ribbon around your avatar. I don't think that's what they're thinking about. They're thinking about shipping this for us. And I think the way the direction should go is Nicholas Estet might go a little bit more grindy for the beginning, try to feel his opponent out, try to figure out how he plays. And Mr. Gamble is clearly going to be very aggressive right now. I think as during this feel out phase, Mr. Gamble has a little bit of advantage in the sense that he can win a little bit more pots here and there.
This could be a big one. Ace-10 offsuit against King-Queen suited. Heads up.
Well, I think King-Queen suited should re-raise. It's strong enough to re-raise in this heads-up match with this deep. You make top pair, it's often good enough to get all the chips in heads up. So there's the 3-bet. Gamble's got ace-10, and I think he should call.
Mr. Gamble ain't folding ace 10 heads up. He's either calling or he's just ripping it all in. Mr. Gamble will make the call. The flop is 7 deuce 7, which obviously means ace 10 is still in the lead. Last week, Mr. Gamble went heads up against Ole Shemyon, an absolute beast in the world of poker. This week, he goes up against Nicholas Osted, Lina 900, another beast. But Mr. Gamble's holding his own, Nano. I'm very impressed by the way he's played over these last 7 days,
Actually,
basically.
I really like the way he's playing today, even more than I liked the way last time. It was funny. Like we didn't know much about this guy, but he was kind of more of a meme last week. Today he's actually playing really, really well. He makes the river 10 to pair and should go for some value.
Yep. What would you like to see in bet here? 500, 600?
I would bet amount that I think ace high would call with. So like a
350. Oh, 1.3
1 350. You forgot the 1 million.
I didn't expect that. Yeah, obviously last week Mr. Gamble was a bit of a roller coaster. And he was kind of all over the place, but this week indeed he has played incredibly solid and even got the best of Michael Adamo a couple of times post flops. Nanonoko, where it all went wrong for Michael Adamo. He didn't switch seats in the beginning.
He didn't switch. He should have picked seats on someone else. Nicholas Osted actually had the best seat. It seemed like he was like away from the chip leaders.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he got to switch those seats, man. What a fish, Michael Adamo fish. He didn't switch the seats. I'm surprised he didn't switch. He was just like, screw it. I'm so good. I don't need to switch seats. But I'm telling you, man, that seat selection is one of the most important parts of the final table.
Mr. Gamble here with his king 6 offsuit. He's going to check it back on the turn. Nicholas Osted still has the best hand with his pair of 7s. He's going to fire a little bet into the center and he's going to take this one down. So Nicholas has like a 2-1 lead, right? That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah. And they're going to play some post flop right now, feel each other out, but eventually, once those blinds go up, that's when people start to panic a little bit. It's like, okay, maybe I could put in some more 3-bets and some bluffs and stuff like that. 6-5. I think he could consider leading out this turn card, represent that 7, but I guess he goes for a check and probably bet the river.
I don't know if we can represent that 7 then. I was like,
can represent. Okay, go for the ace then. Represent the ace instead. The 7's gonna be hard.
I mean, Nicholas was representing quads earlier, and he actually had it, but you don't see too many quads. Nano, a very funny moment of my last stream where I had pocket 4s at a final table. I was streaming as well, so I could show you the VOD, and I was like, somebody bet into me, and I was like, pocket 4s always make a set, or I raised, and somebody 3-bet, so I called flop 4-4 king. I was like, damn it. I was like, I said I'd make a set, and my entire was like, oh my god, he's flopping quads. And got a full double up against some ace queen or something like that. It was pretty sick.
I mean, does that count as flopping a set?
No,
quads,
that's why I was very sad. Yeah, I was like, it's too much, guys. It's too much. All right, Mr. Gamble here with a gut shot with his queen jack. Nicholas Osted does make bottom pair. Obviously, making a pair heads up always feels pretty good, especially if the board is paired as well.
So
I'm low-key cheering for Mr. Gamble because A, it's super impressive. He just got a top 2 finish 2 weeks in a row. B, he has played very well. And C, I want to see Nicholas face a little bit of adversity, man. Like he's been flopping too damn good tonight.
Yeah, ever since he got the chip lead, he never let it go either, did he?
No.
Just has always been maintained. We've seen though, like in heads-up matches, some of these chip leaders, they've let the other guy come back and then they eventually come back and take it down. Would love to see the adversity, like you said. There's another bet, and Mr. Gamble's got queen jack high. Can he call queen high here? I don't think so. But I guess he's thinking, did Lena 900 really check back the king there? And I think once you see the hand, you're thinking, maybe I shouldn't have called the queen high.
A little bit ambitious, I think, but
yeah.
Sometimes you just want to know. You just want to know if he had it or not. I don't believe you have a king. And Nicholas is like, no, I don't. But if you got a 9, and that's good enough. Mr. Campbell is just betting here with his 7-5 offsuit. I want to say he's got backdoors, no, but even those are not very impressive.
Yeah, literally nothing.
Nicholas is actually going to lead out here thinking he's bluffing, but he's actually not bluffing. He's betting with the best hand. That's how good Nicholas been running tonight, Nano, that even when he thinks he's bluffing, he actually has the best hand. Come on. Blinds go up again, 50K, 100K. That's my favorite part of the show, because at this point, we always know how many big blinds the players have. Mr. Gamble is going to pick this one up with ace-3 suited. What would you like to see, Nano? More pre-flop aggression or more post-flop aggression from Mr. Gamble?
A bit of both. I mean, I don't think he's doing anything wrong right now. Right now, it's still a little bit early, still feeling it out. In general, though, the more aggressive player will win heads up more often than not, because as you know, the blinds come around a lot more. You got to fight for all these pots. If you're just waiting for good hands, not too much is going to work out for you too much. And so I do think you should throw in some 3-bets here and there, but enough room to still play a lot of post flop.
I see. Nicholas Astet is now once again closing into 11 million, which I believe would be the very first time. He actually is above 11 million. Technically, he was this end before he posted the big blind. See if he defends with Queen 6. The answer is yes, and his Queen 6 is still in the lead. Mr. Gamble has a weird obsession with 7-5 offsuit, and I'm not sure if I'm feeling it.
He's got to win one eventually with it. He does with this one.
Do you have any updates for me and everybody else about the heads-up match between Daniel and Doug? Like, is there a set date yet?
Oh yeah, I believe they're gonna start on November 1st, if I recall correctly. Or yeah, it's definitely November. I think it's November 1st. If it's not November 1st, it's within the first week. They decided they're gonna play it 2 tables, 200, 400, 12,500 hands minimum. They both deposited $1 million into their accounts, so that's going to be fun to watch. I'm sure there's going to be someone out there trying to stream it out there, so check out the Twitch streets. You know, I mean, you know, Doug Polk was on a rampage, just like on these tweets, and he was just saying the most crazy stuff, and he was just like, I don't know if you heard the one where he was talking to like the WSOP. It was like, we need to increase the deposit limits or whatever. And then and they're like, oh, we can't. He's like, oh, I don't need it for me. I need it for my opponent to increase his deposit limits. And it's just been an absolute savage. That'll be going down soon. And actually, I don't know if you're aware, but a lot of people are throwing out this 4-to-1 number. So a lot of people wanting to take side action. A lot of the old school live pros, you know, like Phil Hellmuth and these guys and Mike.
They're betting Daniel, right?
They're betting on Daniel 4-to-1. And
yeah.
4-to-1, I think Doug Polk obviously has the edge. 4-to-1, it's a pretty good price, I'll tell you that.
No, I'm with you. Like, I obviously, I mean, I followed it a little bit, and I know that Doug is very respected heads up, but 4-to-1, I mean, it's obviously heads up poker is like a different kind of poker, and it's a different beast to tackle altogether. But it's not like Daniel's some random fish who doesn't even really know which hand beats which hand.
Correct.
Right? So,
correct. If it was a recreational businessman player, like I would always be on the other side. But I mean, I still like Doug Polk. I still think he's probably going to win some monies. But 4-to-1 with a guy who obviously doesn't want to lose and is going to fight real hard. I think there's a chance Daniel at least puts up some good resistance, and it's going to be cool to follow, I think.
Absolutely. Mr. Gamble makes a straight here. Makes the better straight. Would be a good moment to maybe get some chippies out of Nicholas Osted. Like to see him not bet too big. Just, make it 240. Okay, bets 400K. Gets called immediately, though. So well done. The Broadway straight gets it done for Mr. Gamble. I'm really excited for the heads-up match. I gotta say, poker Twitter is pretty fun, man. Like, there's a lot of drama in the poker scene. It's quite enjoyable.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it's like in StarCraft, but like in general, like the poker scene there's always some drama coming out or some some scandal or someone talking shit about someone else. It's good stuff over there, and yeah, it's esports maybe more like friendly and happy, and not two people calling each other out, right?
No. So like everybody's trying to motivate each other, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
we're all so happy, you know. And I see poker, and it's like Doc Walk is just going on a rampage, and everybody that even sends like a slightly negative tweet his way, he just goes on. He always quote retweets it, and he calls them out as well. And I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
Doc.
I wanna ask, do you guys ever do like grudge matches for money or anything?
Very, very rarely. It like it's more of a thing in the fighting game community, in games like Smash Brothers
Yeah, I
and
know about those. I
Street
used to
Fighter.
play those fighting games, and they're just so fucking savage for like $5 or whatever their money
Yeah.
matches are. But yeah, I would. You guys should have some like crazy StarCraft. Like, this the thing is, poker is so beautiful in the sense that obviously you have to put your own money up. So you
Mhm.
put your money where your mouth is. Whereas in StarCraft, you're like, oh man, I just had a bad day. My wrist kind of hurt, and maybe I didn't
No,
win.
it's even worse than that now. I mean, it's StarCraft, people blame balance all the time. You know, you can't really do that in poker. You can't say like, you know, the cards are in balance because everyone is playing with the same cards. But in StarCraft, people always complain. It's like, oh, you only won because your race is better than my race because we have three factions. You know.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah,
let's talk a
yeah.
little bit about this heads-up match. As Mr. Gamble just made another straight. I don't know if he's really
Ooh.
gonna get paid off here because Nicholas doesn't have much, but he's fighting back now, 6.5 million. He's just slowly but steady clawing his way back into this heads-up match.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe if we don't analyze this game too much, he's just slowly going to win this tournament. Yeah.
Wow, look at
Oh,
Nicholas putting in the massive 3-bet with 9-5 offset.
yeah, that was a huge 3-bet.
By the way, can we mention how much time they have left? 7 minutes and 40 seconds for Mr. Gamble, 9 minutes and 35 seconds for Nicholas. These guys have been playing real quick tonight.
Yeah, actually really fast. And actually the guy who used the most time was Michael Adamo, known to be playing real fast, but consistently put in tough spots, use so much time bank to either call or bluff it off.
Mhm.
I like Gamble's sizing. He's going 2.5x pre-flop, spice things up a little bit, but actually it's not phasing Nicholas Estet, who 3-bet with 10-3 suited to a million straight. So Gamble doesn't know that his opponent's been 3-betting such bad hands, because we are on a 30-minute delay.
Gamble does actually flop an open-ended straight draw here. Nicholas Osted will think that he's got a gut shot, but the 4 would be very bad, Niels. I have the feeling that Mr. Gamble is actually a pretty damn legit poker pro. He is definitely not living up to his nickname of Mr. Gamble. Because last week, he only had 24,000 of winnings, right, over at GGPoker. And he did play quite a few small events, sure. But how often do people that have only won like 24K over a GG then play a 10K, then make top 2 in the entire tournament, and then do the same thing again next week and actually look pretty damn good doing it? Like, that seems a bit wild to me.
Well, I mean, maybe Mr. Gamble is a professional poker player who just ran like shit on GGPoker for a long time. But then, like, just these past 2 weeks, he's just like, boom, switch, I'm on fire. I'm just getting second place minimum. I'm hoping he runs it up because, the way this heads-up match has been going, Nick Sestet actually hasn't been grinding him down slowly. It's actually been kind of back and forth, the same stack sizes. So maybe Gamble is going to, if he could just get one pot go his way, capture that chip lead, and didn't really pressure his opponent down, it could really work. Because a lot of times, you put a pro, we don't know what Nicholas Estet thinks of Mr. Gamble. Mr. Gamble, of course, is a little bit more reckless than some of the other guys featured at the final table. But if you're a pro and you think your opponent's a little bit reckless, you tend to err on the side of grinding down a bit more. And sometimes that can bite you in the ass if the opponent, things fall a certain way. It doesn't seem like Nicholas Estet has been too crazy post flop. He's kind of just been taking pre-flop spots so far.
No, I'm definitely with you. I truly like the way that Mr. Gamble has played tonight. You said it last week was a little bit wild, a bit memey sometimes, because we thought some of the plays were a bit funny and made no sense. But tonight, Mr. Gamble just looks damn good. I don't feel like he ran particularly hot. He just played very well. This could be a fun hand, as Mr. Gamble flops bottom pair. Nicholas Osset flops top pair, but it's a monotone hard board.
Okay, that's a weird check by the King Jack, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's a little bit conservative. I think I would love to see Lena had bet that flop. But I mean, clearly he's going to go for some value here on the turn and river. But it was a little interesting because they're quite deep too.
What's the story behind the nickname of Nicholas Osted? Why Lena 900?
I have no idea. Maybe it's his girlfriend's name. Who knows? Like, I have no idea what does Lena mean. I'm sure maybe there's someone in the chat that could tell us, but it definitely doesn't mean much to me. Are you gonna try to Google? Maybe it means something. I have no idea.
I'm googling Lena 900. First thing I see, why is Lena 900 so good? He's actually from Sweden.
Yeah, he's a Swedish pro, and yeah, like I told you, there was like this Swedish like prop bet on who could get the most cashes on across multiple sites, and they beat out European and pads. So like obviously, it was like who thinks they're the best, and he put up their own money on the side bet. I think it was like 100K each or something. Who knows?
Trying to find it out. I'm not sure why it's Lena 900, but ridiculous amount of results, at least about his poker achievements. So you can read about Lena 900 all day if you guys want. That's for sure.
Gamble setting with the 5 high. Nice.
Yeah. A7 suited against the pocket deuces. This could be a fun one. Mr. Gamble, are we going to raise it up? I think raise it up. Suited ace, heads up.
Either way, I think both ways are fine. Can't really fault. Depends on what you want to kind of happen in general. Here, I would definitely be check calling a flop bet if it comes out. You can't fold ace highs on paired boards in heads up just because you'd be folding just too much.
Yeah. More often than not, ace high is going to be good because it's hard to make a pair. Nicholas didn't make a pair, but he already had a pair. So the ace will call. But at this point, you know, any 9, any 4, any 7, any ace would give Mr. Gamble
anything, right? Like just anything that just he's got what, probably like 25% chance to win or something. I'm gonna guess.
Absolutely. He's got 6, 9.
But it's another bet.
12 outs. Seems okay to call with 12 outs, no?
Well, not anymore.
If you know you're missing, then it's probably not good. It is 1.5 million chips in the middle at this point. Mr. Gambo's gonna check. Hope it goes check. And he's like, is ace high good? Ace high, unfortunately, is not good, as Nicholas will take another one down, this time with the deuces. It is true what they said, the deuces never loses.
Never loses. I guess he was a little bit surprised he got value bet by the 2 deuces on that last hand. He's like, oh man, I didn't expect that.
I like Mr. Gamble's emoji game. It generally does feel like he's just having a great time playing poker. He must be having the best week of his life. Like, imagine going from 24K career winnings over at GGPoker to 250K and then winning 250K again a week later. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, just like, and making these plays and having us 2 commentators in Twitch chat just laughing at him memeing everyone. These are obviously playing against such 6 pros too. But
yeah,
I believe actually, the last time he came to the final table, he came in as 2nd place or so. So he actually came into the final table in today and last week's final table with pretty good chip stack. Because I remember he had a big stack, lost a bunch of it, and tried to hang in there. So yeah, he's doing well. But this one, he's in trouble because his opponent flopped the boat.
I mean, I feel Lena flops trips or a boat every 3rd hand. It's actually getting a little insane. Mr. Gamble is gonna try to do some damage reduction over here.
It's gonna be hard for Lena 900 to lose this tournament if he just keeps flopping these hands, right? Like he's running like, I don't know. Can Mr. Gamble take down this beast of a player? But he's hanging in there. He's
I mean, if Mr. Gamble could just run for an hour like Lena has been running for the majority of this evening, then I do truly think that we have one hell of a heads-up match on our hands. And I actually find it fascinating that Mr. Gamble is still at 5.1 million because Lena has even been out-flopping him in the heads-up match.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I haven't seen Gamble's stack change out of 4.5 to 5.5 million. It's just been hanging in there. And It's a bit of a grind right now for these two, it seems, and that's all right. Blinds are up though. That's when people get a little bit worried.
Yeah. From 50K to 100K, we're heading into 60 to 120. Obviously, you guys can always see the blinds on the bottom left side. This week, we had 154 entries. Hopefully, you guys are having fun. We have been doing this for 20 weeks in a row now. Every Tuesday evening, at least Central European summertime, we go live. Normally at 8 p.m. Now it's 7 p.m., I guess because of winter time, daylight savings. So yeah, make sure to follow the channel if you haven't done it yet. And hopefully we'll see you again. Look at Mr. Gamble. He's like, I flopped top pair, baby. Oh, Nicholas with a play. What's happening?
That's a big play. This could cost him some chips because King 4 is not going to fold this flop. Oh, ace on the turn. That's a bad card for Mr. Gamble. Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't like that card. Obviously, Nicholas does pick up a lot of extra outs as well. Already had the gut shot, but now picks up the flush draw. Mr. Gamble folds. I almost wish he would have gone super YOLO with the King 4 and just put in a massive raise.
They have so many big blinds. I don't think I would like him just ship it in on the flop. I think sometimes you just gotta lose the pot, I guess. Like it'd be pretty insane if he just shipped in 45 big blinds with King 4 there.
You know, Nano, it may not be the correct play, but if your name is Mr. Gamble, you got to live up to the name a little bit, okay?
Yeah, I would agree with you if it was a guy who doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing in the heads up, but Mr. Gamble's playing all right.
I think he's playing more than all right. I think he's playing awesome. I'm honestly becoming a little fan of Mr. Gamble, and I still low-key hope...
Is he the new 20 big whale 20 for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's Jesus, right? Jesus actually... even after we gave him a real idea, he had a couple of great appearances, but I love the way Mr. Gamble has been playing over these last 2 weeks. Last week, he started the final table with 8-6 suited under the gun, lost 60% of his chips, and I'm like, oh my God, how did he make it to the final table of a high roller? But no, I'm low-key developing a little crush over here. Well done, Mr. Gamble.
Oh, he's picked up this pot, bottom pair. He's back to 5 million.
He's gonna give us a little oh my God as well. Once again, another day where we don't see any Daniel emojis. I saw a couple of Elke emojis earlier, and obviously the regular emotes are always popular, but these guys, they're not feeling the Daniel emotes.
Today wasn't as much of an emoji day. The only guy actually emojiing the most was Mark Rodoya. But Mr. Gamble's been throwing some whaps and oh my gods out there. But generally, it was Mark doing all the emoji game today.
Well, this is a good flop for Mr. Gamble. He has top pair. Nicholas has bottom pair. Let's see if Nicholas gets even more carried away. Nope, it will go check. Pair of aces still good for Mr. Gamble. It's going to be hard to really get any value here, though.
But you got to try. Sometimes your opponent just try to look you up, even though they know they shouldn't.
I mean, what do you beat here if you're Nicholas? Like Queen Jack?
Yeah, King, something Queen? Random.
No, aren't too many hands. It's like any random 2 cards that didn't make a pair, you know, somehow. But Mr. Gamble raising it up at 4-3, and he does make a pair of 4s. This is a pretty decent pot now immediately. 600K in the middle.
Yeah, with the blinds going up and Mr. Gamble opening up a little bit bigger, it is increasing the pot size a bit. And
you got to bet this, right?
You know, it's tricky because you kind of want to bet and you kind of want to check. I don't actually know what's the right play because you never really get called by worse, but he just is going to pick up some chips here.
Yep. You think he would ever raise here, or is that too risky?
I think it's a little... Well, he could go for the min raise. Yeah.
Okay.
I think if his opponent bet at least half pot, I would never be raising. But sometimes these guys go for thin value third pot bet with like, you know, maybe a top pair or 2 pair. And yeah, I think the raise was all right. But I'd be scared if my opponent bet bigger.
I was like, maybe Lena 900 is a Dota player, but that's Lena with an I and not an E. So that's definitely not where it's from. I don't know. There's a proper heads-up battle between these two.
Yeah, and actually, but the way the heads up battle's been going in this one, it hasn't been crazy. Although Lena has been the craziest part I've seen so far in this heads up match is just Lena just 3-betting some just total trash hands. But other than that, it's been pretty like 1 or 2 bets here and there. But this I think a gamble should 3-bet, and I think the King 9 suited should see a flop. So depending on what comes out, this could be a big pot.
That is a big 3-bet though. That is a that's not just your regular 3-bet nano, but King 9 does make the call.
Ooh.
Mr. Gamble flop stop there, but Nicholas flops a backdoor flush draw and obviously the gut shot.
Yeah, the backdoor flush draw is what's always tempting, right? The tricky part is, say you hit the 10 and your opponent has ace king. Well, GG for you, right? So like, it's tempting to call here, but it's also, I'll tell you, if you call here, it's very dicey because like you're not sure what you want to hit and you're not sure what you want to happen on the turn.
Well, Nicholas did make the call, which means this is becoming a monster pot at this point, 3.2 million. What I do now, Nano, is that Nicholas wasn't hoping for the 5 of diamonds because that doesn't really improve his hand one way or the other. The spade dream is super dead at this point. And Mr. Gamble is wondering, how much am I betting here?
Yeah. We know we would love to see Gamble check knowing his opponent's hand, but I don't mind him betting. Oftentimes his opponent has like a jack 10, ace jack, and those hands are just going to check. So I like the bet.
I actually would always like to see him bet, even if I know that he's playing against King 9. Like imagine he goes check, check, and then a 10 rolls off on the river. And then everyone's like, yeah, that's what you get for checking the turn.
You don't want to be the guy. See, that's the difference is you're playing with Twitch chat, who you know are going to yell at you later. So you got to play a certain way, right? But these guys, they just got themselves to worry about. Oh, 2 3s and 2 6s. This could be a huge pot depending on how Mr. Gamble decides to play. It looks like just call. But 994 is still a pot that could swing about 1 million chips one way.
Yep. Both players probably pretty happy with that flop. Nicholas probably thinking that he's still the only one with a pair. Mr. Gamble probably thinking his 6s are good. And Mr. Gamble puts in the raise. He's playing so good, Nano. There's no way this guy is random.
And if he does not fold this hand at some point, he's going to be our new chip leader. And that'd be pretty insane because it didn't. Mr. Gamble was the 5 million guy.
The 4.5 million guy. Every now and then a 5.5 million guy, but that's 700k, takes the pot down. 1.3 million chips heading his way. And we do have a new chip leader, Mr. Gamble, the runner-up of the 19th edition of the High Roller Super Millions, is now our new chip leader.
I mean, I've seen guys make back-to-back final tables, even back-to-back-to-back final tables. I did not expect the first guy to make, top 2 twice in a row to be an unknown player. Mr. Gamble, even the last name I would ever expect to be. Wow.
Last week, he actually was chip leader once or twice as well against Ole Shamion, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, and then last week we obviously, you guys missed the show last week. That was a devastating hand where Mr. Gamble did have top pair with King 7. Obviously, had some serious kicker issues, but Ole Shamion was putting on a lot of pressure and betting with nothing. And Mr. Gamble folded on the river to like a 1.6 million chip bet or something among those lines. If he would have just made that call, he would have had a monster lead in their heads-up battle and most likely win the tournament.
You got to be thinking, okay, you're Mr. Gamble here, right? You played the heads-up the other day, and you retook the chip lead, and then you lost it to lose the tournament. Maybe he's thinking this time, I'm not going to let that happen again. I built the chip lead. Let's not lose it to Lena 900. I would love to see Gamble just take this down. I'm rooting for him too a bit. I love the way Lena 900 plays. I think he's an excellent player, but I'm with you. Let's see if Mr. Gamble can take this one down.
Literally 8 days ago, Mr. Gamble had $26,000 of career winnings over at GGPoker. After today, it's at least 500k, but it could be a whole lot more. Ooh, ace king on the big blind. Nicholas just limping with queen 3 offsuit. Mr. Gamble is definitely going to put in a little raise here.
Yeah, by a 400 or something.
I'll give you that, Nana. That's pretty good.
It seems a little suspicious, right? All of a sudden, Nicholas instead was limping the button with these stacked ratios.
Oh no,
limp re-raise.
Nicholas.
That is. See, the thing is, sometimes you outlevel yourself. You're like, the first time he limps, he raises, he must have nothing. But actually, Mr. Gamble has got the ace king. He's falling apart. He's a 74% VPIP ice cube right now.
Yeah, against an 80% Inferno. That is Mr. Gamble. And he ain't stopping anytime soon. 9.1 million chips right now for the man or woman playing from Austria. He's going to raise it up with 7-6 suited.
It's probably Amanda, right? It's not Mrs. Gamble. It's Mr.
Oh,
Gamble.
that's
Come
right.
on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's actually kind of safe to assume there. Yeah, you're right. Just wanted to play it safe, but that's a very valid point. I've got no counter.
2 spades. It's a tough board to bet again. Maybe he can do it, but it's tough. When someone check calls on this flop, it kind of looks like they might have a piece, but he is going to bet again. And this is tough to call with a pair of deuces. It's tough.
Mr. Gamble ain't afraid. Nicholas does make the correct call, and his pair of deuces is still good. But can Mr. Gamble just fully send it one more time? 1 point? No, he checks. Okay.
I don't mind the check, man. Too often he's just literally lighting those chips on fire, right? Like his opponent's going to show up an ace or an 8-9 too often.
I know, no, but you're here to commentate on the good plays. I'm here for fireworks, okay?
You're here for the Mr. Gamble playing the top 2 pair versus the mid pair.
Yep. It seems like Lena's hot streak is over a little bit, and now Mr. Gamble is the one flopping slightly better. Will Nicholas make the call here with a pair of sixes? The answer is yes. I think the river saves Nicholas some chips, because otherwise there is a chance he would have called another bet.
How sick is Mr. Gamble going? I was gonna say it's gonna go for some value. No, but 4 flush out there, and Nicholas thinking about turning his hand into a bluff.
Yep,
he is. Wow, but it's a tough call to make with Queen 6.
Not for Mr. Gamble. Not for Mr. Gamble. He may take a couple seconds, but he's calling this one. He knows that he's going up against Lena 900, who will always represent the little heart here. Mr. Gamble, don't let him get you. I mean, there is a 4 straight card is there as well, right?
The 4 shouldn't matter because someone would not value bet a 4 that way. Oh, wow. It's nice play, though. But don't fault him for folding. But it would have been a tough call. Is Mr. Gamble falling apart, though? Because he lost his chip lead.
I know, and he's folding the best hand. Well done by Nicholas. That's an excellent bet on the river. Gotta be a bit scary, because if he gets called there, then oof, Mr. Gamble would have had a proper chip lead. Nicholas flopping an open ender here.
A jack would be a terrible card for Mr. Gamble.
Don't even say it, no.
Jack. Nah, just kidding. Deuce. Okay, well, that's an okay card in the sense that maybe you win the spot if you bet again.
Yep. And I feel Mr. Gamble gets a little nervous, like when there's a lot of chips in the middle, and all of a sudden I feel like he becomes a little hesitant to pull the trigger.
Mr. Nit? No.
No. Nicholas is going to try to steal this one away as well, and he gets the job done. We got to give a lot of kudos to Nicholas now, who is just winning a couple of decent-sized spots with absolutely nothing.
Ice Cube is gone. They're both just neutral.
A lot of clubs. 3 clubs on the board would be very fun here. Club, spade, run out. No pairs board. Mr. Gamble. Oh my God.
Club. Did you just say club? Because they both flopped a flush. And I think Mr. Gamble is going to win all of the chips right now and be in a he might ship this tournament today. As long as no more clubs come out.
I said club, and then spade, run out, no paired board. Well, the board is not pairing yet. Both players still sitting on a flush. But Mr. Gamble's 10 high flush is better than the 9 high flush of Nicholas. Oh my goodness. No. Is it happening? If the board doesn't pair, if we get like an ace of spades or a deuce of spades or something, Nicholas is going to lose so much. Oh, that's a good run out.
This is a perfect round. You know why? Because also Mr. Gamble has like 2 pairs and stuff. Nicholas is going to think, oh, I can get some sick value. Mr. Gamble obviously is going to go for a big bet. I guess the question is, does Nicholas Estet raise? Depends on what the bet size is.
I feel like you would though, right? Like the
I
board
would
didn't pair.
personally.
There are
I
not
would.
4 gloves. Yeah, I would go all in here.
It's
Oh,
an
he
over
just
bet
calls.
though. Yeah, saved himself, but it wasn't an over bet, so maybe that's what got him not to shove. But man, Mr. Gamble he's got the 10 million chips, and now we got a 5-minute break. Wow, what a stunner hand right before the break.
What a sick hand. Mr. Gamble is back on fire and has now taken a commanding lead on the 20th edition of the High Roller Super Millions. Of course, this is a $10,300 buy-in event. This event always starts on the Sunday evening, and then everybody plays down to the final 9, and we play the final table on Tuesday. And the tables have turned. Nicholas was a chip leader for, well, pretty much 2.5 hours straight, but now all of a sudden it is all Mr. Gamble. A little setup went his way there. Kind of pipped Nicholas with the slightly higher flush. Now he's got a big lead. Can he close it out? That is the big question. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in 4 minutes or so to bring you guys the conclusion of the 20th edition of this High Roller Super Millions. All right, guys, in 2 minutes, the heads-up battle between Mr. Gamble and Nicholas Osted, also known as Lena 900, will continue. I would like to take this moment to let you guys know that I think it's Tuesday, but sometimes they already put it up on Monday. There is a little giveaway as well on Twitter, or a contest, I should say. I mean, it could be a giveaway if you guess it correctly. It is Hit the Jackpot, and all you have to do is guess the winning hand of the High Roller Super Millions. Nano and I get hundreds of submissions each and every single week. And all you have to do is predict the 2 cards that win this tournament. Obviously, you have to guess the correct suit as well. And I'm curious to see what is going to be the winning hand. What is your prediction, Nana? What do you think is going to be the winning hand tonight?
I'm thinking like an ace 10, an ace 10 suited, ace 10 of spades. What do you think?
Jack 10. Jack 10 of
Jack-
hearts.
You always say Jack 10 of hearts, and it's never Jack 10 of hearts.
It was Queen 10 once. It was very close. Yeah. Somebody guessed it correct the other week and got $600 in his GGPoker account. So obviously worth taking a look at Twitter. If you have a Twitter account, make sure to follow GGPoker Official and just participate in the contest. It takes you 3 seconds, but you can walk away with $600. It's pretty damn good.
It does seem like ace jacks and ace queens are the favorites, so to win these tournaments. But I don't know. Someone's got to do the database Excel sheet, like what hands ship these tournaments.
Yeah. I'm sure that actually we have kept track of that. So if you're requesting it, there is a chance we can take a look at that. I mean, all the VODs are out there. We can always take a look.
I'm not going to make this database, but someone else can make it for us. But let's get back to this heads-up match. They're playing for about $75,000. Missed a gamble. The chip stacks were reversed around the start of his heads-up match, and it's a gamble. The guy came to this final table again from last week. Got top 2. He's now the chip leader.
Back-to-back final. Oh my God! Back-to-back final tables. Gets aces the first hand after the break, but Nicholas Estet may just let this one go. It doesn't really get any worse than 8 deuce offsuit.
I mean, he did limply raise the queen 3 offsuit and give away 1 million chips. Remember? But it's all right.
Mr. Gamble gets no action on his, as I like to call them, Armenian Airlines.
Okay, it's a top pair versus a mid pair. This is actually a good spot for Alina 900 to pick up some chips back.
Yep, flopping top pair here. It's pretty good. Oh my goodness. Ace on the turn. Mr. Gamble improves to 2 pair. Tables have turned. Nicholas Estet ran hot for 2 hours, but he had to close it out then. No, you can't run hot forever.
It's a pot-sized bet. Wow, the pot-sized bet makes your hand looks like a draw in another call, and the flush gets there on the front. I don't think check. I think Mr. Gamble's got to bet this hand. It's just too strong and heads up.
Really? Okay, I guess.
Yeah, it's heads
for some
up,
reason,
man. We're not
for some
laddering
reason, I
no
thought that there were 4 spades on the board. No, I'm sorry.
No worries. Oh, it's an all-in play. Wow, Nicholas Estet put to the test on the first hand after the second hand after the break. Does he make this call? What do you think?
No, I don't think he makes this call. I think it'd be too wild. You don't even have the best possible. Oh my God, he makes the call. It's all over. It is all over. Mr. Gamble was the runner-up of the 19th edition of the High Roller Super Millions. And in the second hand, after the third break, he takes it all down with ace-8 offsuit. So that is the winning hand of the Twitter contest this week. $324,000 in his GGPoker account. Noko, what a 7 days Mr. Gamble is having over here. This is ridiculous.
Why did we take a break if they're just going to bust it out in 2 hands? So that was such a crazy hand. I want to talk about the hand a little bit because Lena 900 actually didn't take that much time to make that river call, surprisingly. It was a pot size bet on the turn. So when someone bets pot size on a turn, they either got a big draw or they got the nuts, right? But some guys, they don't do that big pot bet with the nuts. They're just thinking like, oh man, maybe I scare my opponent. But I think that's what tricked Lena 900. When the spade draw in the front got there, I guess some people are thinking, I think Lena 900 put his opponent on like a queen jack, a jack 10, kind of those straight draws because it was king XX ace, or he put him on 2 hearts. And those hands probably would want to continue firing if that flush did get there. And Lena knows, like, it was just a crazy call. Obviously, very sick play from Mr. Gamble. And Mr. Gamble's, he's got that little bit of that random kind of bluffing image a little bit, in the sense that people have called him down more, because you got to remember, he bet jammed the king jack on that jack 6 board against and rivered the king 2 pair against Michael Adamo. Adamo called him with just jack 9, and so just because that Mr. Gamble factor is what got him extra value in spots that he shouldn't have got extra value in. I want to talk about Lena 900 a little bit because he cruised through this final table, like you've been saying. He got picked up 2 jacks left, but he played really well. really didn't have any resistance. But there's one guy that they couldn't beat is Mr. Gamble. Same for Michael Adamo. He was kind of like just hanging in there. He came in as chip leader, but he couldn't beat Mr. Gamble either. Mr. Gamble just crushed these guys today.
I think the key hand of this entire heads-up match was the 10-6 of clubs against the 8-9 of clubs, though. I think that kind of broke Lina 900, and I don't think Lina really could have done anything else. The run-out was just kind of perfect for his hand, right? You flop the flush, and then you get a clean run-out. The board doesn't pair, no fourth club on the board. Yeah, I can't really blame Lina 900 for that one, but I do think Lina was running incredibly hot up to that point. Yeah, eventually, Nano, the hot streaks end, and Mr. Gamble, we said it for a while, he just keeps hanging in there. And even like when we were just kind of chitty-chatting about random stuff, he was holding his own in the heads-up match, even when Lina was flopping trips a couple times and flopping better, like either top pair or better two pairs. It was always around that 4.5 to 5.5 million mark, didn't really drop any chips. And we were just waiting for that one setup, and I think it came in the club hand.
Yeah, and it was the thing. The poker gods were sick and tired of Lina 900 not closing out this tournament earlier. They're like, you know what? If you don't want to ship the tournament, we're going to let Mr. Gamble run a little hot. But, you know, that last hand, that doesn't mean Lina 900 has to bust that hand. He could have made a fold. I think he should have took a little bit more time, try to break down the hand more and maybe find a fold. But it was such a sick spot. But, you know, it's all about Mr. Gamble today. Last week, he came in as a guy with only 50K in earnings and won 250K or so, right? Almost beat Ole Chamion, did bust out, and he came back as like, I'm here again. And he actually played a bit differently. I seemed like a much more confident player because that last final table last time, right? Like he dusted off some chips with 8-6 suited, right? And just hung on there, eventually got second place. But today, he was much more active, much more on fire. I think the confidence from last week, him wanting to ship the tournament, when he got the heads up, he actually did close it out. I'm really happy for this Mr. Gamble. I think he's a new favorite for both of us, of one of those unknown names that have really made a mark today in the Super Millions.
We haven't seen anybody winning 2 high roller Super Millions in a row, but we also didn't see anybody make top 2 weeks in a row. Mr. Gamble got the job done with a second place in the 19th edition and winning the 20th edition. Nano, to go back to that final hand, I'm going to put you on the spot. Was that a punt?
A little bit of a punt, I think, especially like if you think about how the heads-up match kind of went, it was actually very grindy, but in a good way for Lina 900. I felt like he win, you know, most of the pots, but, you know, like a little bit more in the sense that he wasn't losing chips. So why kind of just blast it off? Maybe that one hand, think about it. He lost a 2 clubs hand, right? Then he had a 5-minute break to steam about it. Came in and just saw this insta pot stuff. Was just like, I'm done. You know what? Either you bluffing or I'm out of this tournament. And you know what? He's out of this tournament.
It's funny as well that even like the biggest veterans and the biggest crushers of online poker can eventually, you know, things can get to them where it's like, geez, I cannot get rid of this dude called Mr. Gamble who had 20K of earnings. This is a 10K buy-in event. He had 20K earnings a week ago. What's happening over here? Well, quite the ending, and obviously a very surprising champ tonight. Like, we've had a lot of very stacked final tables, but tonight truly was a very star-studded lineup. Michael Adamo, the 3-time champ. Artur, a previous champ. Obviously, we had Javiera in the tournament as well. We didn't even speak much about him. This lineup was insane. And for Mr. Gamble to take down this final table, that is honestly very impressive.
Yeah, definitely one of the guys that we didn't expect to take it down. And today, we both did not pick correctly, but that's okay. I think if we didn't pick correctly, this is the one guy we wanted to see win it, and it's been phenomenal. And I'm excited for it. I didn't think these final tables would just keep getting cooler and cooler, right? But like now we got people who consistently get back to the final table who like, okay, how many final tables? It's not how many cashes they have in this event. It's how many final tables they now have at this event. How many times? Eventually, it's going to be how many times they've won this tournament. And if Mr. Gamble shows up again next week, man, I don't care if he's got 2 big blinds. I'm going to pick that guy, right? Because it'll be insane.
Mr. Gamble is Mr. Invincible, perhaps, when it comes to the high roller Super Millions. Yeah, I think other than that was a really fun final table. We had Romashka with a couple of very interesting pre-flop plays where he's like, I don't care if I've got 8, 6, or 4 big blinds. We're going to play some post-flop poker over here. It's like, well, you don't really have a lot of chips to put pressure on your opponents or force any faults, but we witnessed that. Then we had Nader, just kind of very impressively by him making it to his 3rd final table. but then he just kind of dusted all of his chips off in a 4-way pot when the board was like 9-9-7. He's like, I've got 7-8. It's hard to make a pair in poker, but it's like, it's a 4-way pot, mate. Like, that maybe was not super necessary either, but I think overall a very fun edition again.
Yeah, very fun, and I'm glad we get this every week, Roddy, and we're gonna do it again for the 21st edition next week, same time, right?
Yep. So that's going to be it for us tonight. Thank you very much, Nananoko, for always for providing fantastic poker commentary and a lot of insights. Like I said before, if you don't follow the channel yet, guys, make sure to follow this channel on Twitch. A lot of really cool poker shows on this channel, some GG takeovers as well by some of the squad members. Every Saturday right now, a lot of the streamers and pros of GGPoker team up together. They were playing some Among Us Saturday afternoon, and then they play a little bit of the Russian cash pool, sometimes $25 just for fun, so you can play some hands with your favorite poker streamers. And then obviously they play some Oma together as well at a table, and it's really cool to watch that. And then of course it's Saturday evening, 7 p.m. Central European Summertime. We have the $210 bounty event, the Beat the Pros, where if you knock any pro, influencer, or streamer out of the tournament, you get a free ticket into a $5,000 free roll. It's a very fun event. Like I said, Brian Perez won it 2 weeks ago, so nobody beat that pro. But that's really cool. I hope to see some of you guys there. I play it every single week as well. Now, after like 10 editions, the best I did was like top 60. So I've got my work cut out for me. But one day I'll make you proud and I'll flop all the sets with pocket fours, I promise.
Okay, well, yeah, go play that Beat the Idiots tournament, but because Roddy's playing, there's definitely some value for you guys.
There is value. There is proper value. I mean, any $210 bounty event with 5 StarCraft players that play some poker as well, there's value in that one. All right, that's it. Thanks, Nano, and thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Have a beautiful evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you may be. Bye-bye, and good luck at the tables.